Heyo! How the fuck are we doing, folks? Hello, it is I, Vosh, the one and only, and I know that because it's a made-up name, Vosh. It's nobody else has it. I assume. Hey! Oh God. So, I still have a little bit of a cough. If I cough, I cough. Nothing much I can do about it. Terribly sorry. Okay? So, there's that. For two, I worked out yesterday for the first time in like a fucking billion years. Holy shit. Like 3 years. Oh, fucking God. Jesus Christ. Here, let's bring it over a little. There we go. God damn, I am so sore. I've always been like a big guy, you know, even before I was like fat. And I'm like 260 pounds now. So, you know, I'm big. But I was always like a large person. Even when I was like 15, you know, I was like a big boy, you know? So I know I have the right genetics for this, you know, if I like put the effort in. But oh man, you know, those first few days back are fucking grueling. Ooh, my fucking traps. Listen, this is the only time traps are gay, because these motherfuckers are pulling some gay ass shit on my fucking pain receptors right now. Oh boy. Oh boy. Ah. Oof. Damn. For those of you who don't know, 3 years ago, 3.5? It feels like it was yesterday. In university, the university gym, you know, I was doing deadlifts and I did them improperly and I threw out my back. And for years afterwards, the back pain was so bad that I would like groan getting in and out of chairs like a fucking old dude, you know? But I think I've finally healed up. What was my max deadlift? My max deadlift was 365 when I was 16. And my max squat was 295. And I forget my bench. And I peaked at 16. That was when I exercised the hardest. We're getting it back. We're bringing it back, folks. Anyway, I'm just really fucking sore. I did my... Do I like deadlift Lolita? No, I don't think so. But yeah, and I did back workouts and... Wow. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I'm doing it. I'm going to do like 3 days a week. Also, debate starts in like less than 30 minutes. Just for those of you who are just here for that. Debate starts in less than 30. But the way you said Lolita was bad and cringe. Lolita? I don't fuck. Okay. What would you recommend for back pain? There's like a million types of back pain. I can't diagnose anything from over the fucking from over the computer. Anyway, for the workouts, listen, we're hitting the basics. I'm not going right back into deadlifts because like I need to work my way back up to that. My back needs to get more acclimated to moving heavy weights before I'm comfortable doing the exercise that nearly fucking ruined me 3 years ago. So so I did the classic lat pull downs, the classic, you know, hitting it up with the got those ones. We got the fucking the seated rows, you know how it be, with the you pull them in and you pop. And then I got the low rows, you know, where you like lay back in like the sled and you like do this, you know. And I got the you got to do the shrugs. You got to shrug it off at the end of the workout. And that was it. Just 4 exercises, 4 sets each, 12 reps per set. Simple. We're going to do the same basic formula for chest day and for leg day. And once our muscles acclimate to that, we can move up from there. Lifting belt's your best friend. Listen, it's gonna be a little while before I can do the squats or deadlifts, okay? I'll get to it. Tips on dealing with life with a huge penis. You'll need special underwear, and it helps to use a lot of rubber bands. That's the only hint I'm gonna give you. Can we hold on? Can we talk for a second about this shit? This is fucking fantastic, folks. Okay, listen. Okay, you know how it's like really, really, really cliche to call right-wingers incels, like when you're insulting them? I try not to do it that often because I don't think it makes you a bad person to be a virgin, even if you're like an older virgin. And also, there are a lot of reactionaries who get laid like crazy. Where's that fucking video? Come on, PJW. Oh, yeah. Dude, people are going crazy. Oh. Dude, people are losing their shit over this. Apparently, this is like some, look, nearly 6 million views down here. This is some like twerking class or something. No sound. Oh, I mean, the only sound you would have gotten out of this is just like music. Not much. Dude, people are losing their fucking minds over this. Like, okay, I mean, it's great, but listen, I need context to bust my nut to butts, okay? But it's some good ass shit. But like, fucking PJW, wait, this person tweeted. PJW and Ian Miles Chong and a bunch of other like alt-right types are like tweeting about this, and it's so fucking weird. Like, holy shit. And like, here's PJW's like, modernity. And Ian Miles Chong is like, why can't I find a good boyfriend who treats me with respect? Like, holy shit. I try not to call people incels to insult them, but what am I supposed to get out of this other than you're like a bitter, angry, sexless dude? We know that Ian Miles Chong is incel Andy. Like, that's his entire identity, incel Andy. But like, holy shit. The funny thing is that Paul Joseph Watson, he's the person who does the like that brain force shit. He worked with Alex Jones. Paul Joseph Watson is one of those people who says that SJWs and feminazis are like destroying media because they're demanding everything be censored. I remember there was this video of Paul Joseph Watson, and he was saying like the feminazis are destroying art because they want removed this picture, and it was like of a big butt or something. Or it wasn't a picture of a big butt. It was like a sculpture of like a semi-naked woman or something. It was just some tantalizing fan service shit. And apparently people didn't like it. He was like, imagine my shock, SJW libshits obsessed with censorship, trying to get their proud, beautiful woman bodies out of public sight so they can hide them behind their feminist burqas or like some shit like that. And like, unironically, this is the exact same dude that bitches and moans and cries when the booty pop. The booty pop. I just don't understand, like, how, like, these are irreconcilable positions. How can you accuse other people of being pro-censorship for wanting to cut down on the sexualization of women, but then yourself turn around and complain about the degradation of, like, morals in Western society because women are popping their asses in a yeah, these women are braver than the troops. Can we be fucking real for a second? Immeasurably braver. There has never been a United States serviceman more brave than the least brave woman in that class. I just don't get it. And Ian Miles Chong, this is such like a brain dead fucking meme. I have no idea when they started thinking this was a good point. They, like, collectively. Why can't I find a good boyfriend who treats me with respect? What mutual exclusivity is there between popping your ass in a twerking class and not being able to find, like, is the implication that if you twerk, you don't deserve a boyfriend who treats you with respect? I have no fucking idea. I'm sure the women in this class love the fact that their cute little twerk exercise has been turned into like a theater show by a bunch of like alt-right losers trying to demonstrate the ways in which Western civilization is experiencing moral degradation. I don't fucking know, dude. This is so weird. I don't know why they think these are good points. Why can't I find a good boyfriend who treats me with respect? This is literally the incel meme right here. Hey, can we hypers in chat if you knew at some point in your life a really whiny, unfuckable dude who would complain about women always like finding boyfriends who would like beat them up, and he's the enlightened gentle sir who could treat them the right way. But alas, if only they weren't such disgusting sluts and wouldn't keep twerking in their twerking classes. I have no fucking idea. I just don't fucking know. Like, where does this fall on this? I want to know, like, what's the sliding like scale of the alt-right like decline in morality? You know, like what? Okay, so going to a twerking class is immoral and disgusting and lewd and salacious and so on and so forth. And okay, cool, great. What, like, where does that fall? Is like shooting up a bunch of innocent people immoral? Like, probably not, I guess. Oh, the quartering jumped in on it too. Guys, our favorite other complete fucking loser who got kicked out of an MTG tournament because of a harassment campaign he did on a woman. Damn. Guys, look, don't you know? If you twerk, you carry venereal diseases. Like, this is just insecure dudes being angry at women's sexuality. That's all it is. This feels like such a 101 take, you know? This feels like if I was in 8th grade, like I'd step out and I'd be like, okay, class, well, here's a textbook example right here of what a dude looks like when he's unfuckable and is angry at women for expressing their sexuality. And here we go. Like, it's so like textbook, but they keep doing it. And they don't think it's embarrassing. I don't get it. I don't fucking know. Oh, here's another one. This one was so good, Paul Joseph Watson even retweeted it. And it's the same tweet as Ian Miles Chong. Why can't I find a good guy that treats me with respect, they ask. Ladies, this is how you attract a hit it and quit it guy. This is not how you attract the kind of man that will love you when you can no longer twerk, but keep twerking if you think it's working. This is so weird. Jesus. Is this a femoid? It is. That's why it was retweeted, because it's a fucking lady. So when she says that, it's not sexist. I'm sorry, ladies. When you want to twerk, get to work. A real man will be impressed by the number of books you've read. Dude, people are attracted to lots of shit, okay? Hey, listen. Hey, can we be fucking real? Listen. If I was like questing after some chick and she was like, hey, check out my exercise reel. And she was like, in a class with the selfie stick, like popping her ass out, like fucking twerking for the fucking selfie camera, that'd be some good ass shit, okay? I respect it. I respect the hustle. The implication here fundamentally is that a public demonstration of sexuality is immoral, but like the people who say that, they claim that they apply it sort of neutrally to men and women both or whatever. But they never do. It's always them complaining about women, which is funny because flagrant displays of sexuality are one of the ways in which people engage in performative masculinity. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever, like, I'm sorry, hey, listen, femoids, out of here. I'm sorry, hey, listen, if you're a femoid, if your heart is corrupted by sin, if you took the fucking apple, okay, out. Listen, my boys, hey, listen, boys, being weirdly sexual is like a dude thing too, maybe even more so. How many times have you been in public and you fucking grab your crotch like when you're with your fucking boys? You'll make sex joke. You shake your fucking dick or whatever. You jiggle your ass. You slap your boy's ass. These are things that happen like all the time in traditionally male spaces, in sports, in the military, in fucking boys' academies. Like this happens all the fucking time. I remember the fucking locker rooms. Okay, listen, yeah, you suck their dick. You know, you go in for the bro job. You laugh. You cough a little bit on the low as it hits the back your fucking uvula. The dude, you're such a fag. Oh, your cum tastes good though. You know, like that kind of shit. Like this fucking dudes do this shit all the time, right? Like the idea, like, Western society is decaying. We need to cut down on the sexual impropriety. Let's go. And then they go out and exclusively complain about women. 100 exclusively. That's all they complained about. They just complained about the women. Like, okay, dude. All right. Nice meme. The real reason, of course, is because this fits into like the promiscuous woman hypergamy incel shit, and there's also a whole lot of like great replacement. The slutty women will fuck the black guys, and they'll get fucking mixed race babies like blasted in them. You know, that's kind of like the angle this gets brought out from. Hold on, there we go. My audio should be quieter. Does that sound fine? Let me up it here. I'm trying to. My settings got fucked with when when that lightning strike hit. Oh, to anyone who donates, by the way, I'll respond to all donations after the debate, which will be beginning very soon. Oh, one other really funny thing. Hold on. I don't want to like twist my camera around to show it, but after the fucking lightning strike that knocked out our power, I thought like, okay, I need to get a really good backup battery, so that in case everything gets knocked out, I can have internet and the computer running for a little while afterwards, right? And I got a big battery. This is like a 30-pound battery, and I set it up. It's behind the computers, and I hooked everything up there, and the battery was not charging. And I thought like, oh shit, like, okay, everything runs through it, so I guess there's power going through the machine. But no, like it's not building a charge at all because it's got a little digital display counter. So I thought, holy shit, does my computer and my 2 monitors and my router and my Wi-Fi and my speakers and my phone charger all take up enough power that it actually overwhelms the battery and it can't charge at all? And I thought that was what it was for a minute. And then while cleaning up the back of my room over there, which is why there aren't boxes anymore, I found the guide, and it turns out the battery of this model comes in unplugged. It's you have to pull it out and flip it. It comes in flip. So because I have no respect for my life, I kept the power running and diligently flipped it and pulled the battery out and put it back in while it was all running and stuff. And it's good. Hey, it's charging now. Good memes. Good memes. Let me check to see if I have the email. Where is our grill emote? We need the grill emote. We need the soy emote. I need to levy a fucking infraction against White Nervosa. Jesus. Why don't I let my hair out more often? Because fuck that. I fucking hate feeling my hair scrape against my neck and ears and shit. Fuck that. Soy Boy is next update. Nobody posted the grill emote. I think it's the grill flag from the Vexology memes. Hair is hot. I've got tons of hair down by my junk, okay? I've got big pubes. That's the hair, okay? Sub to my Snapchat. Yucky? Whoa, yeah. Oh, yeah. Did you really look at me and think like, oh yeah, this is a guy who keeps his pubes like closely trimmed? Femoids out, emote windwash. This stream is femoids out. Right now, no women are watching. Good. Fuck them. You trim your beard though? The fuck? Yeah, because beard hairs don't stop growing. Pubes will. Pubes stop growing. You guys know that, right? I haven't shaved my armpits once in my entire life, and it's the exact same length. My armpits are the exact same length. Same with pubes. They stop. A beard will grow down literally forever. My beard hairs feel like they stop growing. That's probably because they curl into themselves, you know? The real reason why pubes and armpit hair feel like they stop growing, I think, is because they grow slowly and because they sort of cap out at a length respective to how quickly they grow relative to how often they fall out. And there tends to be like an average there. Same with eyebrows, same with eyelashes. Eyebrows, eyelashes, phylum hairs, the little tiny little bit of hairs that you get even where you don't think you're hairy, except for the palms and soles of the feet, of course. Armpit hair and pubes, all of them have kind of like a set length that they grow out to. Who shaves their arm hair? I don't know. Trans girls, I imagine. What about butt hair? Why would I shave my butt hair? Guys, I'm hairy all over. You realize that, right? I have hair on my back. I have hair on my stomach. I have hair on my legs. If I shaved my asshole, where would it stop? Do I just shave around? So it's like when you shave your fucking dog's asshole. It's just like hair, and then there's like a perfect, just a little cutout. Why the fuck? Why? Same with shaving my pubes. Like, if I shave my pubes, like, the happy trail still leads down there, and there's still hair on my taint. Like, where is it? Do I need to, like, fade it? Do I get, like, a fucking black barber to come in with the buzzers and be like, all right. And we like, get it at, like, the perfect, you know, like, the perfect, the perfect trim? Hey, listen. It's 2019, fellas. If you're not fading your pubes, I'm sorry. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Why the fuck are you talking about hair? I don't know, dude. Chat's fucking weird. What do you want from me? I'm just waiting on the link to begin the debate. He emailed the link. Check your... Uh-oh. Are we ready? I gotta download. Uh-oh. Am I nervous? I'm never nervous. What the fuck are you talking about? Can we watch debate on here? Yes. Join with video. Choose one of the audio conference. Join with test speaker and mic. Speaker 1. Oh god. Here. There. Okay. Join with computer audio. Hey!
How's it going?
Hey, listen. I'm doing great. Let me try and get my cam set up.
Awesome. Glad you're here, man. Glad to meet you.
I am delighted to meet you too, friend. Hold on. Failed to start the video camera. Please select another video camera in the settings. Okay, give me a sec.
You betcha.
There we go. Here. That's not me best camera, but I'm streaming. You know, got to make do with what you can.
You betcha. I'm pumped. So Nick is a co-mod, really nice guy. He loves this stuff. And do you guys have any other links in addition to what I have in the description box for you guys right now? Is Adam, I have your Twitter and YouTube, and then Vosh, I have your YouTube, and I'm like 99% certain it's your Twitter. Let me double check really quick.
Yeah, that should about do it for me. I also have a website, vosh.gg, which is what I'm currently streaming on. Wait,
you bet. Let me pop it in there.
Experience.
And one thing, since it's your first time we get to have you, our first time we get to have you, we always tell people the footage, I feel like you guys are in the hot seat, so it's your footage. So do whatever you would like with it whenever you'd like. So like, don't, if you want to put it on YouTube or something, don't wait. We don't ask people to wait or anything. Yeah. So, and if you'd even like, Bosch, I'm like 99.9% certain you know how to pull material off YouTube, but if you'd like, I can even send you an MP4 just so it's a little bit more convenient.
Gotcha. You don't need to worry about sending anything to me. I'm reasonably sure I'll figure it all out. But I appreciate the offer. And
you're streaming right now, aren't you, Vosh? I mean, you're
darn
technically
tootin'. And trying to figure out how to get your cams to show on my stream. Hold on. Window capture, browser source, display capture. Why not that? Beautiful. God, what a phenomenal comp whiz I am. Let me tell you, folks.
Oh, this would be rad. Okay, the exact, did you say Vosh? Was it Vosh G.com?
Yeah, VAUSH.GG is the full website name.
Rad. Thank you very much.
Not at all.
What happened on your video on ContraPoints, Vosh? I thought you made a good effort there against cancel culture. I'm curious what the feedback was.
Oh, well, the people who cancel Contra are more or less the same people who cancel me. So thankfully, I see, listen, I'm ahead of the game. The people who would have canceled me for that, I preemptively exiled them from my community. Very, very, very 200 IQ play on my part. So the reception was pretty great. And I saw people who even typically dislike me saying nice things about that. It was very, very nice.
Yeah, Noel Plum shared it on Twitter and I checked it out, man. It was a good video. I even left you a snarky comment. I don't know if you saw it, but I said I was going to report you for engaging in nuance.
Oh, please do. I've been a bad boy, okay?
The woke police are going to be knocking on your door any minute.
I'm ready. Okay, I did it. I made it happen. Never before has a stream looked this good. Chat, throw up those hypers for the comp sci wizardry that I just engaged in. Beautiful. Okay, I am, with that, now ready to go whenever y'all are. And a fair warning, by the way, I had the flu like 2 weeks ago, and while I'm much better now, a persistent cough has kept with me. So if I occasionally start coughing, it's totally fine. I apologize for the audio.
So we're live on your, are we live on your end, Vosh?
Yes.
Okay, so who's going to go first on, do you want to do the opening argument? I mean, the topic is so broad. It's like, I don't know who's in the affirmative and who's in the negative here. Usually the affirmative goes first. Do you want to put an argument first? Or? Well, do you have an argument in favor of socialism? If you want, I can go first. I have an argument based on the book Why Nations Fail.
Yeah, go for it. You're free to make the first argument. I can make arguments in the affirmative or negative if you would prefer.
Excellent. I'm just fitting your guys' sweet pictures into our little boxes now that we finally have Nicholas.
I tweeted you like 20 minutes ago going, where's the link? Look at your DMs. I tweeted you. I've been waiting. And then I just said I'd wait in the thing. But I don't normally do. I'm sorry, everybody. You're the only one of all the shows I do everywhere. You're the only one who contacted me by DM. And you did it last time, so I should have remembered. But
okay. I'm teasing you. It's okay. We always get a little bit of a delay. It's they're very forgiving. I mean, I'm thankful for them because I'm always running late. And I forgot. We almost always communicate 99.9% of the time on Twitter. So
it's always Twitter. And actually, you have given me links in the past on Twitter. Now that I think about it, the last one I was on, you gave me on Twitter, and you gave me the friended one. Not friended, the Matt one, I think, on Twitter. But a couple times you do it on email too, so I just got to check. I just don't use email anymore. I need to get back into it, but I don't.
Keeping you on your toes, Nicholas.
I know. So what are we looking for? So they're gonna. It sounds like sort of a standard thing. It also sounds like it's gonna be very friendly. So there isn't gonna be a whole heck of a lot to do.
Oh, I get real feisty. Don't worry about me, okay?
Well, I saw you on Non-Sec versus Apologist Supreme, who can be a little difficult.
God. Oh, that's
the appropriate response. He's been trying to debate me now for 6 months. I won't do it for a number of reasons. He just keeps doing it. I did one of his cohorts. What's his name? The Anglican subdeacon. That's also very big in Red Pill. But at any rate, I saw that, and I've debated Adam, and I anticipate complete smooth. Yeah, you did get very feisty with that, but he you know what? It's very
warranted
hard.
the feist. He deserved the feist.
Well, and he won that one, apparently. We had a straw poll on the GDC afterwards, like, okay, who here thinks he won? And no hands went up, and then about 20 people said he lost, but apparently he won. Then he came in to argue that he still won.
No, I conceded that argument. He had a perfect record coming into it. I wouldn't want to break that streak. I'd feel horrible.
I remember you said that too. I remember that. That's why I won't debate him, though. There's something he needs to be able to. There's something wrong with him.
I love the cat blanket behind you, by the way. Tapestry?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a tapestry. My wife got it, and it was funny because it's exactly the kind of thing I would like, but it's not her style at all. But she got it for my birthday like 15 years ago, and then a couple years after that, it was always on our bed, and I found it like in a pile somewhere. I was like, "What's going on?" She's like, "Oh, I was going to throw it out. I don't think anyone really likes it or uses it." I was like, "I love it. Why do you got it for my birthday? You knew what you were doing." So she's still trying to get rid of it. This is actually a living room. A dining room converted into my office. That's a doorway, so we just hide the doorway with that.
I'm in a bathroom. I'm sitting on the toilet right now. We make do.
Oh, good.
I'm pumped. So not about you sitting on the toilet, but about this debate. It's going to both, you could say. Basically what I'll do is in a minute or less, I will start the like stream starting soon screen, which is only like 30 seconds to 60 seconds. And at that point, so I guess I might as well actually put that on now. Let me just do a quick test. All good. And when I do, basically I will start it by saying, hey, everybody, today we are debating socialism versus capitalism, and we're starting right now. And then at that point, I promise everything's okay. It'll be like 5 seconds of silence for us, but the audience is hearing like our little video bumper, like logo thing. And at that point, immediately after that, I will say, hey, everybody, stoked to have you here, and I'll introduce everybody. And so it'll be totally cool.
What would you like me to do?
Oh, yes. So glad you asked, Nicholas. So I will just do like the opening and house cleaning type stuff.
All right.
And if you would be willing to explain the format, which is super easy, it's an open discussion followed by roughly 25 minutes at most of Q&A. So you can say 25. And also what we'll do, Nicholas, is take turns during the Q&A reading the questions from people.
Right.
And trying to think of anything else. So
how am I going to get the questions?
I will send them to you via Twitter.
Perfect.
And we will rock and roll.
So open discussion, but with Vosh starting on pro-socialism, and then followed by 25 minutes.
Sorry, I ran out to get a glass. So
how long do you want the open discussion to last?
About an hour.
All right, I can time it if you'd like, and I'll just let people know when we're starting to get a little close on that. I assume it's flexible, but
you betcha. I'm stoked. This is so fun. I honestly get just so giddy about this. Let me just checking on the screen. Okay, perfect. Let me
I'm making fun of you in the live chat for not modding me.
Oh, are you still not modded? I will.
I don't have a wrench.
I've got them muted. Chat, how does audio sound from your end?
I've only been on the channel 5 or 6 times. I've been a host,
That's so true.
Sounds good. There's decent audio balancing. Okay. If I talk, I'm audible.
So no,
they can't drown me out.
I'm kidding. Just deal with what you got to do.
I promise I will. But
no worries.
I'm all giddy. Okay, give me 1 second. Make sure. Oh, I forgot to mention. Let's see. Opening is good. Just switching one thing really quick. Cool there. Okay.
Yeah. It seems that my secondary camera keeps cutting out. Makes sense, it's old. I'll just have to refresh it occasionally.
No problemo. Stoke. Here we go. So thanks again for being here, guys. I am going to switch it over. Let me unmute myself.
Are you using a unique key this time? Well, we'll get on you for it later.
Hey everybody, today we are debating socialism versus capitalism, and we are starting right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thrilled to have you here. This is going to be an epic time, I assure you. So we have socialism versus capitalism. We have two, you could say distinguished. Is that, I think it's fair to say distinguished YouTubers, a lot of experience with debating and a lot of reading. So a lot of knowledge packed into those brains. And we have the, as well, you could say, distinguished moderator and a dear friend, Nicholas Lamar Suter, as a co-mod. We are thrilled to have you. Thank you very much for being here, gentlemen.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
So whatever we are going to do is, this is going to be short and sweet for this intro. We're going to jump right into it, folks, because we're pumped. And want to mention a couple of things. The speakers have their links in the description. So if while you're listening, you're like, I like this, you can click on their link in the description and sub at their channel. Check out their website. Just tweet them on Twitter, whatever you like. Also, want to let you know Nicholas Lamar, of course, is down there as well in the description. If this is your first time here, consider hitting that subscribe button, as we love to host debates on whether it be politics, religion, science, you name it. We are pumped to talk about it. So with that, we are going to hand it over to our dearest friend, Nicholas Lamar Suter, who will explain the format and get the speakers rolling.
Woo! All right. Well, thank you very much. A pleasure to see you both. I've encountered each of you sort of in various ways, but it's a thrill to be here with both of you. This is going to be an open discussion. We're going to start with Vosh, who is for socialism. It's going to be 60 minutes of just open discussion and pretty friendly. If I think we're going to be pretty loose with it. If I see the knives come out, I may. It depends on the length of the blade and a few other things. But we don't want to get demonetized. So if it's anything that's going to draw blood, we may call you in. But short of that, I think it's going to be friendly. And then after a 60-minute open discussion, we're going to do 25 minutes of questions. And unless either of you or anyone has a question, I think we shall start with Vosh, who is for socialism in this discussion.
Absolutely. Now, if there are any issues whatsoever with my video, I apologize. My secondary cam keeps seeming to cut out. With that being said, my voice is going to carry us through, okay? Now, in regards to socialism, I often find it difficult to defend it or explain the reasons why I appreciate socialist theory or believe firmly in the ways in which it can improve our world, because when we talk about socialism, we're usually talking about a collection of very different things. And I've dropped from this call, haven't I? Can you hear me?
No, you cut for a second, but you're good.
Gotcha. There are a great many things that people often mean when they refer to socialists. We very often invoke in our minds the failures of civilizations like, say, the USSR, of Mao's China, of Vietnam, of North Korea, of Venezuela, of the countless societies that have in some way enumerated themselves the the progenitors of Marxist theories, and then subsequently have been committed to the dust of history. We mean so many different things when we say socialism. So I would like to be very clear with my terms. I would like to refer very specifically to one thing, and that is what I believe socialism is meant to be: collective ownership of the means of production. The idea that no matter what civilization you find yourselves within, labor is done. Whether you live as a slave under a pharaoh, whether you live under a lord as a serf, whether you live under a capital owner or a monarch, you nonetheless see a distinct divide between those who produce labor, those who till the fields, those who work the factories, and those who reap the benefits of that labor. It's a power dichotomy that has existed essentially since the beginning of human civilization. Some work and some reap from that work. Socialism is unique in that it is solely capable of breaking us from that cycle. For in that system and that system alone, it is the farmer who receives due compensation for the farming. It is they who takes not just credit, but also full ownership of their labor. Same can be said with the factory worker. Same can be said with the service worker. Everything from the barista who serves you your coffee to the tech worker who designs and codes the next application to help us encrypt messages sent from one device to another, cybersecurity, all of it resides fundamentally on the labor of individuals, and it is that labor I want society to reward. I ask for this and this only. Though there are many positions I hold which may at times seem radical, I feel they are a very logical extrapolation of the values we claim to hold since the days of the Enlightenment. Our commitment to fraternity, equality, and brotherhood. Under every civilization, labor has been done, but we have seen grievous consequences wrought from civilizations which have not duly compensated those who perform that labor. From the slaves who were brought over here in ships stacked high like Tetris blocks, to the modern era where we have record low unemployment, but more and more people have to work more than one job to make ends meet. All of these problems, while admittedly complicated and not in any way, shape, or form two-dimensional, stem fundamentally from a misallocation of resources, from a society which delegates to those who are lucky enough, fortunate enough, or connected enough to own the means of production everything, and to everyone else just what is needed to survive, because society needs its laborers. In short, I want market socialism. I want every business in this country, and hopefully the world, God willing, to be mandated by the state to be under the ownership of all who work there. And that is it. It is a quirk of magic, which I do not respect, that a man who has never set foot in a factory, nor put his hands on a machine, could nonetheless reap the wealth brought about by the hundreds who work within that building. And I would see an end to it. That is all I ask for. Market socialism. Equal and fair ownership of all enterprises midst those who work within them. And then, when we reach that society, hey, sky's the limit. Power's been taken from the capitalists. It's finally been given to the people. The dreams of the Enlightenment have finally been realized. And maybe from that point we can move somewhere real crazy. But first we have to get there.
All right. Thank you. Adam, your reply.
Well, just to steelman your argument a bit here before I put my argument forward, I do have an argument. It's based on the book Why Nations Fail, The Origins of Power, Prosperity, and Poverty by Darren Acemoglu and James A. Robinson. Mm-hmm. And I guess I have an answer to your I have a list of questions, and I'm glad you started off with defining terms, because I think defining terms is actually important. But just to steelman your argument here, are you basically saying you're against private property in the form of business because you feel that that's unfair? That encapsulates your argument pretty well?
Yes. As much as I would say it is unfair for a murderer to go off and for the victim's family to be charged. Yes. It's not so much an emotionally rooted argument as it is an extrapolation from existing policy.
Well, I would say if, like, for a murderer to go free, I would feel that very unjust. I would have an emotional reaction to that. I think justice, the idea that we want justice in the world, I think that's an emotional response, is it not?
I think that you can make very logical arguments for even emotionally impassive people that society should be organized in such a way to allow resources to be given to those who deserve it most. I suppose you could trace everything back to an emotional argument, but I think I could make decent ones even for people who aren't personally invested in the struggle of the proletarian.
Are you an evolutionist? Do you believe in evolution?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you would assume that our ideas of fairness evolved, correct? That's where we get them from?
What do you think I am, a Hegelian? I think that our ideas of fairness are given to us by the ruling class in any given society, that they are essentially a product of the propaganda which is disseminated to keep us in line.
So if someone murders your brother and goes free, you think that your feeling of injustice is given to you by some overlord?
Well, I can tell you this. Right now, here in America, our understanding of the institution of prison is heavily influenced not by this rational, just idea of rehabilitation, but rather a very base desire to see punitive justice done. And it is that desire for punitive justice that has allowed, say, private prisons to wreak havoc as they do. It has allowed us to very conveniently ignore the humanity of prisoners.
The punitive justice, though, that people want, that's based on emotion, correct? You're saying that is propagandized by our people in power, that we feel that desire for punitive justice because we've been taught to feel that way. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, for the most part, yes. I think that our emotional impulses are still the product of societal conditioning that we've received, and our conditioning is the product of those who rule over us.
Oh, okay. So let me get to my argument, and I would appreciate. Am I pretty close in steel manning your argument? I mean, I don't want to straw man your argument here, man.
I do believe that a more just society would be one in which people are fairly compensated for their labor. Yes.
And I agree. I agree with you there. Definitely. The society has a lot of moving parts, though. So let me lay out my argument. My argument is from Why Nations Fail. The book came out in 2012. It's by Darren Acemoglu and James A. Robinson. And they basically compare nations all over the world and try to discern why some nations are prosperous and some nations live in poverty. And they lay out 4 essential elements to how nations gain this prosperity. And the first is property rights.
No.
Yeah, they say very in very uncertain terms, and they add a lot of different studies behind this. They examine a lot of different nations. In order to incentivize people to work, you have to give them property rights. In order, I was going to ask you, like, how do you feel about innovation? I'm with you that people lived in squalor back then and were taken advantage of, but I think it's less today because of innovation. Are you in favor of innovation, or?
I think that's an extremely leading question. Innovation exists from the labor of workers, not from the profits of capitalists. There were innovations in the Soviet Union, and many innovations we rely upon today in the United States are the product of military research. Neither of those things are funded by capitalists.
I agree. Well, there is some back and forth, but let me finish laying out my argument. So property rights is the first component, okay, to incentivize people to work hard because they know that they will gain the fruits of their own labor. The second is a broadly distributed power base. And I don't think we'll disagree here, but this discourages winner-take-all institutions and fosters a strong middle class. So if you have a place like North Korea, where the only way to gain status in society is through politics, then you form this winner-take-all institution of politics. Now, the leader of North Korea doesn't want anyone becoming wealthy because it risks his standing in that society. Therefore, he's not going to let a free market foster any kind of businesses because it would threaten his power and his security. This is the problem with these third world dictatorships. So a broadly distributed power base we have here in the United States, because we have like 465 representatives. I think we have 100 senators. We have, this broadly distributed power base. We have 3 branches of government that are all keeping each other accountable. Hopefully, in a best case scenario, obviously there are problems and we need regulation to take care of those problems. But this broadly distributed power base is very hard to get started. Like he even brings up the Soviet Union, and I wasn't really going to go there with the Soviet Union, but the Soviet Union today, and you may disagree with this, but is more of an authoritarian dictatorship. It's a very concentrated power base around Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin got a lot of his wealth because he incarcerated the richest man in Russia and basically took his money. He incarcerated him for fraud. So if you are wealthy in one of these nations, and you see that other wealthy people are being incarcerated, it doesn't really incentivize you to become wealthy because you don't have stable property rights. So stable property rights is essential. So the third thing that they outline is a strong central government capable of enforcing the rule of law. And their argument is without law enforcement, there actually is no law. And you see this in places like Sierra Leone, where they've been in civil war forever because, they don't have a strong centralized government that can enforce law and order for people. So the security is at risk. And the fourth thing, and this goes to the innovation thing, is creative destruction. The reason why we are as prosperous as we are here in the West is because we have this innovative cycle. And every time the innovative cycle comes into existence, like Bill Gates came out from a garage, in North Korea, there could never be a Bill Gates because Bill Gates would threaten the established order. So the established order basically discourages innovation. And without innovation, you don't get a growing economy and you don't get shared prosperity. It was even Bertrand Russell, who is I don't think you could get more liberal or progressive than Bertrand Russell. He wrote a book called The Road to Prosperity about how we transform our society from a capitalist society to a socialist society. Said Marx himself wasn't even advocating for communism or socialism as much as predicting it. So this is why I'm asking you about innovation. I've seen some of your videos and you talk a little bit disparagingly about universal basic income. So I'm curious where you're at on universal basic income, because if innovation is something that we aren't going, like we're in a situation right now where we're rapidly moving towards a winner-take-all economy through innovation. And it is a scary time. It is a very scary time because the people who control these machines could control our lives. So I believe that we are going to be moving towards some sort of socialism, whether we like it or not. I often say that with superabundance, socialism becomes virtually inevitable. But without superabundance, it's actually impossible. So the question is, when are we going to achieve this? So that's my argument. If you could steel man my argument for me, just so I know we're not talking past one another, that would be great.
Adam, if I could jump in, forgive me, Vash, I'll let you respond. Adam, if you could do me a favor, just because some of the people who are new here, learning who everybody is, they can't tell who's talking, so they don't know your voices yet. Are you able to turn on your camera just so they know which one is talking? Which one of you?
Yes, right here.
Thanks so much for doing that. Totally appreciate it.
Damn things being finicky. Okay, yes, I'd love to respond to this. So, steelmanning your argument, you argue that authoritarian power structures disincentivize and disencourage innovation, which is essential for a functioning economy, and also that property rights are essential for encouraging said innovation. Innovation is the bedrock of a developing economy, so it is necessary that these things be present in order to facilitate the kind of development that we have seen propel us into the modern technological era. Would you agree that's a fair characterization of your argument?
Yeah, beautiful, man.
Yeah, okay.
Very
so there were a number of problems here.
Okay.
For one, all right, so going over the first thing, Marx specifically called for the dictatorship of the proletariat and wrote a manifesto advocating for the bringing about of communism in Europe. So I do think that while he was most famous for his critiques of capitalism, I would say it is undeniable that he was also an advocate for communism, though he did admittedly write about this less. You at one point said that the modern Soviet Union doesn't have stable property rights, but I assume you mean modern Russia because the Soviet Union collapsed in.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
my mistake.
Modern Russia is a capitalist society. They're privately controlled means of productions. I don't know if any argument against modern Russia could be extrapolated into an argument against socialism, because they're an oligarchy controlled by capitalists. After the USSR broke up, most of its holdings were distributed to people with centralized party power, and they became not just party officials but capitalists. They owned those factories, they owned those docks, those oil fields, they owned those, in some cases, military bases. It became an oligarchy of capitalists. I think what you're criticizing for most of your points here is authoritarianism, which I am very anti-authoritarian. I don't defend in any way North Korea. I am very much in favor of broadly distributed power bases, though I think it's interesting you said that a distributed power base is necessary because it facilitates innovation and prevents people from feeling as though they can only achieve success in one field through politics. And I agree, but it's funny to me because that's not what's happening today in capitalist America. Right now, the way in which corporations demonstrate their power to the greatest degree is through rent-seeking behavior, by lobbying and trying to achieve power by buying the favorability of politicians. So even like today, the success in a political field supersedes success like broadly in an economic field. I don't know if that's like a criticism against socialism. So if we take away the criticisms here that are applicable more to authoritarianism specifically and are relegated only to arguments that could be imposed against socialism, we're left with socialism isn't possible without an excess of abundance, and property rights are discouraged under socialism. And I could not disagree with these 2 points more. Right now in America, when we look at innovations being done, they're being done by workers. When a technician or a laboratory filled with scientists, when a writer or an author or an artist, when these people innovate, that innovation is being done by a worker, not by a capitalist. A capitalist is by definition somebody who extracts labor from those who work underneath him. And this is why typically in society, when we see these massive breakthroughs in technological and social and cultural advancements, we tend to see them come from people with a relatively lower upbringing, or at the very least, we see it from people who made their own way, rather than simply being bequeathed wealth and power from higher station. The reason for that is because being a capitalist disincentivizes labor. It disincentivizes work. I wish we lived in a society where people who control the majority of the wealth and the power felt any incentive whatsoever to delegate that power to people or to allow that power to be used in ways which encourage innovation, but we don't. Most of the wealth that gets funneled out of the society by capitalists is put in offshore banks. It's used to do stock buybacks. It's put into ventures that are monetarily safe, that you know you're going to get a return from. But big investments, big risk taking, these things are discouraged under capitalism. It's been written that in the Soviet Union, and again, I am, by the way, not at all uncritical of the Soviet Union. I've critiqued this society in a great many ways, a great many times. But in the Soviet Union, it has been said that as long as you weren't producing materials which were critical of the government, again, a problem, there was a much greater degree of of artistic freedom there. And the reason for that was because without the profit motive hampering people's abilities to meaningfully publish their work, there was more opportunity for people to take real risks, to take real innovative steps towards creating something bold and new. I remember, right now the name escapes me, I remember reading articles on how there is a wave of American literature and TV shows which was inspired by the comparatively bolder and more innovative works of Russian authors and Russian showmakers a decade prior. So the idea that socialism discourages innovation is strange to me, if for no other reason than because there are still property rights under a market socialist society. The state still protects the factory as it is owned by those who work there. So property rights still exist in that form. They're just done for the benefit of those who do labor rather than done for the benefit of those lucky enough to be in a position to reap profits from that labor. I don't think that socialism is like I'm not a modernist in this respect. I don't believe that socialism is this inevitable product of capitalism. There are much worse roads we could go down, but I also don't think it's fundamentally tied to abundance. We have in this society enough food, enough wealth, enough efficient labor power to comfortably afford every American a middle-class lifestyle. Like, easily. It's a distribution problem. And that distribution problem isn't accidental. It's a set of deliberate policies crafted by people who have infinitely more money and more power than either of us will ever have in 1,000 lifetimes combined, specifically delegating policy decisions that are meant to keep those resources out of our hands because they want an 11th private jet. I think that this is a wildly inefficient distribution of wealth that discourages innovation. It is unfair to those who produce the real innovative changes within our society that we all benefit from, and that if we want to move forward collectively, we have to look beyond this this shallow rent-seeking, invest only when you have expected return mentality that defines the capitalist infrastructure.
I'm going to interrupt for a second. Adam, I would very much like to hear your response. Before I do, we have had a couple more requests from the chat for at least one of you to turn on your camera.
I keep turning it on. It keeps turning itself off. I'll try to turn it on again.
Or at least one of you. We've had a couple of requests. So, and then if Adam can go on, I think everybody wants to see those beautiful mugs. What can I say? If you don't, I don't mind if you don't. I will just start taking credit for all the good things. I'm going to pick and choose and say, did you guys hear me?
I have to keep unplugging and plugging the damn thing. It's like it's busted. But hey, we make the best we can.
All right. So Adam, is there any chance you can get your camera on, or is that just a?
I'm cool. I'm good.
All right. Well, then I will stay out of the debate and please continue, Adam.
So you want to, I want to mention rent-seeking behavior. I'm not a fan of rent-seeking behavior. I think it's one of the problems in an economy. It's one of the ways that you can move towards society falling towards more authoritarian tendencies. So I think we agree there. Like, rent-seeking behavior, for those of you who don't know, it's basically, it's rent. It's where you're not innovating. It's where you just develop a property and you just sustain yourself through charging rents. So that's not necessarily a good thing. You're talking about innovation. You're I guess a big part of the problem that I have is, what incentive is there for someone to innovate? You seem to be making the argument that the innovation that takes place is always taken away from the worker. But I mean, isn't like Elon Musk, wouldn't you think of Elon Musk as an innovator? Wouldn't you think of Bill Gates as an innovator? These people created businesses for themselves. Like, the people who start small businesses, those businesses become big businesses, but every big business that exists today started off as a small business. So,
well, sure. And I think they should be rewarded for their labor. Bill Gates did a lot of really fantastic coding in his day. But for the past 30 years, he has not. He has been a business owner. He has done nothing himself for 3 decades. And Elon Musk, well, most of what Elon Musk done is done by a dedicated team of engineers, undercredited, overworked, and far more poorly paid than he is. He's the showman. He's the front runner. He runs the stage. He wears the tie. But in terms of who does the work, no. I would credit the people under them far more than I would ever credit these people. But for what work they've done, yeah, I think they should be fairly compensated, as should everyone else who has worked for them.
So in your system, you want to do away with property rights?
No. There would still be property rights. The state would still guarantee to the people who work in an enterprise that enterprise.
Right. I'm focusing on innovation. How do you create new innovation in your society? What is the incentive for me to start a business if I know that I'm creating the business simply so the government can take it over from me once?
The government's not taking it over. The workers who work there, including yourself, will have property over it.
So what is my incentive to start a business where 100 people will have effectively veto power over anything I say or want to do?
Well, I mean, you shouldn't have hired 100 people who disagree with you. I mean, if you're creating a business to do like a tech thing, then you would probably apply for like a government loan of some kind. I assume it'd be a nice way to get a business started. And then you would probably find like 2 or 3 other people with a similar vision. You would work together. You guys own it collectively, and you can make collective democratic decisions to decide who to bring in. That process is more encouraging for innovation than a private ownership would be, because you, the worker, are directly responsible for the success of that enterprise.
But the decision making of the business starting would be in government hands, correct? I would go to the government, and the government would tell me whether or not I could get the loan to start my business.
No,
correct?
well, you would apply for a loan, but
I would apply for a loan from the government.
Yeah,
Only
but
the government, right?
It works. Well, wait, you can get it from a bank as well. That's how it works today. If you want to start a business today, you have to apply for a loan from a bank.
Wouldn't the banks be owned by the government as well in your scenario?
I mean, there are very strong arguments for a nationally owned bank. Yeah, it kind of seems like that's a good meme, considering that banks going haywire is the reason why we had the 2008 financial crisis. I would be totally okay with the government running the banks. Yeah.
Okay, so when we go to the government to get our loan to start a small business, the government has the yes or no over whatever we're innovating, right?
No, you would just have to indicate to them that you were financially responsible enough to be able to pay back a loan with interest over time.
What if they didn't like my innovation? Like the book Why Nations Failed is filled with hundreds of examples of people in power saying to innovators that this cannot happen because this will destabilize our society.
The privately owned banks, one, it's just a bank. Whether or not the people who sign your loan work for the government or work for a private bank doesn't really change. Like, you're not going to go to a publicly owned bank and they're going to be like,
who's the decision maker?
Hold on, Adam, if we can...
Whoever would be the decision maker in a modern private bank. You realize what you're describing right now happens today by private banks. Private banks have been shown to be less likely to invest in enterprises they don't think are worthwhile, and they've often had to eat crow on this because what turns out to be innovative tomorrow might not be what's innovative today. But everything you're describing right now happens today. I don't understand how the bank being owned by the government would change much. This isn't an authoritarian society. The government would have
let me explain
Let's let Adam
that I'm making.
Yeah.
So I'm making the argument that in the book Why Nations Fail, creative destruction is very difficult to get started over the long haul of history because innovation, they call it creative destruction. Innovation displaces people in power. Listen, Bill Gates himself said he's not worried about his direct competitors. He's worried about the guy in the garage out there that's thinking of the thing that he never thought of. And those guys were the Google guys. They're the ones that effectively put Microsoft on the sidelines. So
can you explain to me why a government in a society where property is publicly owned would be more authoritarian and more willing to deny you innovative? The government benefits from your innovation. Your innovation would create a stronger economy.
You're moving away from that broadly distributed power base. If all businesses are owned by the government,
no businesses are owned by the government. They're owned by you.
But that presumably be, if I just to try to clarify a bit, I think what Adam is saying, not necessarily. So right now, the decision makers of the government, whoever has the money, isn't going to be able to give loans to everybody. So I think what Adam is arguing is that right now, the people who are giving out the loans, maybe the businesses, maybe the banks, maybe the government, maybe the banks, maybe other private businesses or investors. You have a wide variety of people interested in a wide variety of things. If it's all consolidated into one place, you are now, I think is his argument, undoing essentially what you're saying you're trying to do, because now it's just one entity that decides who gets the loans. Is that roughly correct, Adam?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Well, we're doing the opposite. Right now, all of the power in this country is concentrated into an economic elite, a very small group of people, business owners, who consolidate the wealth from those who work under them. Under this system, under a socialist, hold on, under a socialist society,
Adam, one second.
hold on. The design of a socialist society is to ensure a much broader group of people share power amongst them. That's how it's designed. That's how it's meant to be. Why in this society would the government... Like, I feel like you're arguing an abstract from an authoritarian perspective. Like, you're worrying that I'm talking about an authoritarian government that controls all businesses and says, you may make shoes. You may not write book subversive. No, right now, if you want to start a business, you have to go out and you have to go to a bank and get a loan. And in a socialist society, you could do that too, except the bank wouldn't be as predatory because it would have a consistent and capped interest rate provided by the federal government. It's not like you would apply for a loan and then the dude at the bank would be like, I don't know if Washington's going to like this. Like, I don't know. That's like, I've gone to public university. I've written things critical of the government. It just seems like if the government was prone towards shutting down everything they thought was scary, then like I'd be arrested for my essays already. Like, I just don't know. I feel like we're operating way outside the realm of like a conceivable consequences here.
All right. Well, here, I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. So one of the things that I see happening is Adam makes a point, and then usually, Vosh, you address that point and then sort of address and add 3 or 4 more points. And then as Adam tries to get one of those, it seems to compound. So I'm not sure Adam is getting quite a footing on his argument because I think it's compounding a little faster. So I'd like to give him a little extra time to catch a breather and make the argument that he's trying to make.
Yeah, I talk a lot. That's fair.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I'm going to convince you, Vosh.
Well, but you have to explain to me why. Like, there are already ways to get loans from the government today. Like,
I think he's going to try to explain that. So let's give him. There's a great example we just started. So let's give him a breather.
I'm just pointing out. There's these 4 axes that are laid out that need to be addressed. Okay, property rights. You're saying people will be incentivized to go to the government and get a loan, but not necessarily if the government, if you know that you have some innovation that could possibly destabilize the government, or destabilize the people in power at the government, what incentive does the government have to okay that loan? I mean, we're in a situation right now where social media is having a huge effect on our elections. If people in power could see that ahead of time, wouldn't they stifle that innovation?
I mean, I just, to respond to that point, I got my student loans from the government, and before I got those student loans, I have advocated that America deserved 9/11. Why would the government give me those loans if I am literally an anti-American seditious terrorist threat? I feel like the way the government is designed is meant to be much more ambivalent and much more fair than the way in which we experience unfairness from private banks today. I can list for you dozens of ways in which privately owned banks engage in this exact type of behavior you're describing, where they'll shut down things that threaten their monetary interests. But in terms of the government, I can list plenty of examples where the government has, in our society, because we do live in a free country, ostensibly,
can I butt in? Why is the government, why is the private banks incentivized to screw you over and the government is not?
Okay, so one of them is private banks have been known to deny loans to people of color. Usually that is because private banks are owned by white people, and they tend to consolidate their power with other white groups that are interested in seeing a lack of wealth being given to traditionally non-white areas. So
why isn't the government racist?
The government is also racist. I was just illustrating that the concerns you have with loans.
So then are you saying both of them? Are you saying both of them will equally discriminate? Are you saying you can't get a fair shake from private banks?
I'm saying, well, really quickly.
And I want to hear you, and I'm going to give you a chance. I want to reiterate the question and get back to the question. The question was 2 parts, and you were starting to finish it, and then Adam didn't let, because he wanted to jump to the second part, which was very important. You should answer both parts. The first was, why is it that banks will do this and the government won't? So Adam, let's let him finish why they will, and then get to the second part, which I think you were afraid, Adam, he wasn't going to get to, so you jumped in. And Vosh, you're going to also answer the first one, then get to the second part, which is also, why won't governments? So why will banks do it and governments won't? Is that good with everyone?
Yeah, perfect.
Great. Vosh, can we do that?
I don't think I need to make the argument that private businesses will and the government won't, I think that the burden is on him to demonstrate why the government would suddenly like start denying like the garage inventor their loans when there is no evidence of those kinds of behavior taking place systemically in America. But if we want to make arguments like that, then
there is evidence, though.
Okay, let's let Wash finish, Adam, and then.
If we do want to make arguments for that, though, yeah, because private banks are privately owned. Their wealth is consolidated into the hands of a small group of capitalists that are not beholden to the interests of the public. There are no elected officials to vote out. All they are beholden to is the interests of their stockholders, meaning that as a class, they are more or less insulated from the needs and from the complaints of the people who may be hurt by their policies. Whereas with the government, while the government is very capable of engaging in systemic discrimination, mind you me, I'm not denying that in any way, this idea that like the bank will be owned by the government and then like every subversive idea will start getting red stamped because it might threaten like the president is really strange to me. It seems fantastical. Like there are so many government institutions that exist today that are flawed. I'm not stupid, but they don't like seditiously target people who pose a threat to the country due to their innovative abilities and then axe them or like deny them privilege. Like this just doesn't seem to happen. Or if it does happen, it's usually in line with another group of policies.
I think you've answered the question. You're saying both the government and the private organization. You're saying power corrupts. Those power-hungry bastards are going to discriminate either way, right?
I mean, I'm in favor of democracy, but no, I would say the government is actually less prone to misbehavior in this respect than private businesses are.
So I think he'd asked a question. Wash had asked a question, which I think was a good one. And I'd like to give Adam some
okay,
breath
to
answer it, which was, the question was, it's exactly this. I'm just going to frame it the way he said it. He said there is no evidence of the government behaving this way. And I think he is talking about sort of quelling seditiary behavior, which I think is how you framed it, Adam, but may not be entirely what you're trying to say.
Not our government. Obviously, other governments are. Our government is accountable to the people through democratic means, which I think Bosch and I will agree that that's a good thing.
Yeah, I love democracy.
Yeah, so those bastards don't want.
Why would that change if it was made socialist, though?
Well, you would concentrate a power. The government would have far more power than it has.
No, it wouldn't.
Today,
It would have less.
Bosch, let him finish, please. Let him finish.
The government is being is in competition with corporations right now. Corporations and the government are a check on one another. But I just want to put up one thing here.
I want to put a pin in that point.
No, you said there's no evidence. You said there's no evidence of this this will to power thing. This private businesses discriminating against other people. But Facebook, do you deny that Facebook discriminates against its competitors? Do you deny that Microsoft discriminated against its competitors?
Because private businesses? No, I don't deny that.
So, okay, they do, right? Facebook wants to keep other platforms off of its platform because they don't want to give them a head start. They want to discriminate against them. They want to lock them out of the marketplace, correct?
Yeah, it's one of the many ways in which you see a market failure, how capitalist economies discourage innovation rather than encouraging it.
Right. And this is why the consolidation of power in the government is dangerous, because the government will be in a position to discriminate against people who want to innovate new businesses in the same exact way. Will they not? You're saying that the government doesn't have any check.
And let's maybe give a good example. And I know Vosh had a point that he pinned that he wants to get back to, and I want to give maybe a good example as well. So you've been talking about, or I think it got framed somehow as seditious behavior against the government. I don't think that's necessarily what you're talking about or even the best example, but perhaps in particular where you might have corporations where there were members of or board members of that who were more liberal versus a time in the government where perhaps slavery was acceptable and where the government was much more conservative, and certain people might have much more difficulty
there's a much simpler example. There's an example in the book Why Nations Fail, where a innovator came up with an automatic loom, and he went to the queen at the time, and most of the people in the country did their work by hand weaving fabrics. And he thought he was going to be knighted. He thought he was going to be, welcomed into the royal arms. And the queen basically said to him, there's no way we can have this. If the people have too much time on their hands, they could revolt. So she stifled that innovation. in the same way that people in power want to stifle innovation that threatens their power. This is the will to power.
So for one, you just argued against authoritarianism, not socialism. If your argument is that any power consolidation whatsoever is going to lead to behaviors that discourage innovation, you're arguing against the modern American economy. Your idea that right now corporations and businesses keep each other in check is actually hysterical to me. Right now, we have seen a greater degree of integration between the will of businesses and the government that has ever been seen in this country's history. Right? We literally have a country that has invaded. We have literally. We have literally invaded Latin American countries to secure the business interests of corporations that bribed our politicians. We today see, I mean, you can look, there are stats on this. If you look how wealthy people tend to vote and correspond it to what policies actually get passed, this is not a democracy for poor people. This is not a democracy for the worker. The idea that there's like this beautiful balance between corporation and government that we would upset by throwing all the power to the government is A, fantastical, because that's not the position we live in today, and B, I'm talking about removing power from the government. As long as there is a capitalist class, it will cohabitate with those who control political power to disseminate a common interest. This is why Marx says, in every era, the ideology of the society is the ideology of the capital owners, of those in power. It's rent-seeking behavior, which you yourself said you had a problem with. The idea that corporations and business and the government work together to bring about things that are in both of their interests, but not in the interest of the workers. When I am talking about by democratizing workplaces, this is removing power from the government because it steals wealth. I'm very much in favor. It yeets the wealth from the people who are using the government to extrapolate these broadly anti-worker policies onto the population. Right now, we don't really have a functioning democracy. We have a democracy that is beholden to the whims of billionaires. Pardon me for repeating Bernie's talking points, but I mean, this is data backed. Like, this isn't like feels based. Why keep the billionaires? They're a threat. All of your arguments are against power consolidation, but I'm arguing against it. I'm arguing against the democratization of power.
One second.
We're both arguing. We're both arguing against power consolidation. Are we
well,
not?
No, you're not, because you're pretending right now that corporations and the government compete with one another to produce a balance that leads to less power consolidation, when the opposite is the case. You are arguing in favor of power consolidation.
Okay.
How am I not?
Everybody stop for 1 second.
What destroys power? Just
Adam,
1 second.
okay, hold on. Well, this is just because there is a point that Vosh said he wanted to put a pin in, and it's been a while. It's going back to where I'm like, I don't want it to be forgotten because we promised we'd let him have a chance to.
Well, and let me say one quick. So we're coming up on about the 15-minute mark. So we got about 15 minutes left, and I am thinking I may want to try to get a little more form to this as we go on. And I think Vosh made a point that maybe Adam can address to get some clarity. But absolutely get Vosh's pin. But we got about 15 minutes left.
What's the pen, Bosch?
Oh, well, the pin was in response to your point that that corporations and business and the government like compete with one another. I want innovation. Innovation benefits an economy. Innovation requires power to be held in the hands of as many people as possible, so as many people as possible have the means, the motive, and the incentivization to go ahead and innovate. That doesn't happen under a capitalist economy, where the majority of people are kept in serfdom, essentially, working multiple minimum wage jobs just to keep their family alive. And the people who aren't in that position are working for businesses that could fire them at a whim. They have no investment in the success of that business, nor does the business have any investment in the success of that person, in their happiness or their well-being. Democratization of the workplace is the bedrock of modern innovation.
Well, right. We're arguing kind of at a societal level here. We're not really arguing at the level of the individual, but I want you to know that I'm sure we agree on, I want workers to have more money. I want them to have more power in society. I think that
to own their workplaces.
Well, Vosh, let him finish, Vosh. Please let him finish, because you've had some time.
That's where we differ, and I think it's a dangerous route to go down, because it restructures society. You've mentioned authoritarianism many times. And I would argue, and they argue in the book Why Nations Fail, that a lot of these nations that have tried to go down that route, you even mentioned like Russia itself is a oligarchy, which is an authoritarian dictatorship. They try
capitalist.
They have capitalist run businesses that are exchanging with the open world, but
yeah, it's capitalist.
You yourself called it an oligarchy, right?
Yeah, capitalism. We live in an oligarchy here.
Well, we have the vote though, so
and what gets passed in Congress.
Let me get to my point. Just on the what destroy you're arguing against power consolidation. I'm arguing against power consolidation. What do you think destroys this power consolidation?
Before you answer that, let me ask a question, and maybe Vosh, if this doesn't help Vosh make his point, then ignore it. But the only thing is, I think maybe it might help too if we get back to why governments would not.
Well, I'd like an answer to my question first.
Okay,
what destroys power consolidation?
Democracy. Putting hands on the power of the common people, the proletariat. Democracy.
Okay, I would argue creative destruction is what destroys power consolidation.
The power today is as consolidated as it was in the days of the pharaohs. We've been plenty creative over the past 4,000 years. Maybe it's time we gave democracy a chance.
I think it could be much worse.
I'm sure it could.
Income inequality is a terrible problem. I think we agree there, but I think it could be much worse.
My problem is that you keep saying that what I'm arguing for is dangerous, but you fail to substantiate it in every way. All I'm arguing for is for private property rights to be adjusted such that people who work at an enterprise collectively own it. That doesn't do anything to destroy the power of the common man, and it elevates it because it means common people run their businesses. It doesn't do anything to destroy democracy. It boldens it because it means there's no longer an upper class of capitalist billionaires who can subvert our democracy.
Let's get to the specifics here. I'm unclear on your position on collective management. Like you have said collective management is not a thing that people advocate for, but I know you're a big fan of Richard Wolff, and Richard Wolff himself advocates for collective management.
No, collective ownership.
No, collective management.
Democratic management. I don't think everybody in a business can be a manager. That seems a little bit messy, but you can democratically vote in your managers and vote them out if you feel they're not representing your interests appropriately.
Okay, so you're not in favor of collective management, even though Richard Wolff is.
I'm very familiar with Richard Wolff, and I'm very positive that he doesn't advocate for like everyone in a massive collectively owned business to be equal manager of that place. I know for a fact he doesn't argue for that.
Well, I have clips of him in videos arguing for that position. So, but I'm glad you don't advocate for collective management because that adds a level of inefficiency to business that is unsustainable. So.
Yeah, I like efficient. I want businesses to be as efficient as possible. They're horribly inefficient right now. Right now, businesses are oriented to do nothing other than satisfy the... For one, businesses are authoritarian right now. They are by definition. There's no democratic control there. It's just whoever owns it. And it's run exclusively to the benefit of the stockholders. That's not efficient. I mean, it's very efficient at making them money. It's not efficient at making the world better. It's not efficient at representing the interests of the people. It's not efficient at being creative. It's not efficient at improving life. It's efficient at making money. And that money would be going back into the economy were it not for the fact that these people seem more interested in hoarding it and playing bank games than they are in meaningfully reinvesting in society.
Do you want to go to questions?
I think we can do that, and unless anyone maybe wants to do a finishing 2 or 3 statements, or we can just go straight to questions. I'm good with either. I haven't. There is a host of this show who is supposed to be sending a guesting co-host questions on Twitter.
They just arrived.
Oh, they just arrived conveniently enough. You see, this is how you get things done in any society. You shame the boss.
If there is one.
If there is one. Okay, Vosh, could somebody just mute Vosh's mic? I think we've had enough of this. Oh, I know everything stuff. Okay, yeah. This is why James won't actually give me the mute button. I claim to have it, but I don't.
I worry about Nick. Or Nicholas.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I told you like 16 times to call me Nick. It took you 2 years to get me a wrench on the show. Now you still call me Nick. Oh my God. Okay, we're just gonna go on to super chats. Tioga Art, $2. How does capitalism address climate change / resources? And maybe just say about a minute each if that works.
I mean, we're working on climate change via innovation. There's a lot of different ideas on how you can deal with climate change. All of them are great, but I'm sure we'll figure something out.
I'd like to take a minute. We're all going to die. See, the problem is there are a great many people who have wonderful ideas on what needs to be done to to amend, climate change. The problem is that ideas mean nothing without funding, and funding is in the hands of people who will survive climate change. So no, I don't think capitalism is capable of meaningfully addressing it. At the end of the day, to do so would mean to put caps on the growth of certain businesses and to massively restructure our energy needs. But these things are not in the interests of the people who run our society. So I don't think we're going to meaningfully address it.
But so many small innovators are working on things like nuclear and solar and stuff like that. I mean, why
they shouldn't be small innovators? They should be the project leads of multi-billion-dollar funding initiatives for our entire society, pumping money into these people to desperately avert the apocalypse. But instead, they subsist on tiny grants given to them by universities that are barely struggling, barely managing to get by.
Let me play devil's advocate. Okay, everybody's getting their funding from the government. The government elects President. I've actually never put his name into, so it elects Donald Trump as commander in chief. And he says, and he's just turning over policies left and right for where our research goes, where our just everything. He says, no, we're not going to fund. It's all a hoax from China. We're not throwing the government's money away from this kind of other important stuff into climate change because it's a hoax from China. Would that not be roughly what Adam is worried about happening?
But he's literally doing that right now.
Yes, he is, but that seems to be affirming the consequence. Yes, he is doing that right now. And if all the money was coming exclusively from the government, all research would have shut down in the U.S.
No, there are still research grants from the government, but the reason why the Republican Party is so interested in denying climate change is because the Republican Party is beholden to coal, gas, and oil billionaires. If it weren't for the capitalists that fund that party, and this isn't speculation on my part. I mean, the idea that the Republican Party's been in the pocket of these capitalist groups for decades is not conspiratorial. If it weren't for these people shelling out their interest to the political parties, if it weren't for the consolidation of the power of the state and the businesses, then I don't think the government would be doing ludicrous, dumb shit fucking... we can swear here, right?
Thank you for asking that after you swore. Much appreciated. I don't mind. It's not my channel. I'm not the one getting
fine with me. I don't mind.
I don't think that the Republican Party would be engaging in this level of propagandizing if it wasn't in the capitalist interest of certain groups of people.
All right. Slam RN, question for Vosh. Without someone assuming risk, who puts up the capital to start a business? Well, I think that's already been answered, but please take a minute and just if you want to restate the answer, or we could just go forward. It's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, risk is just a part of life. But if you think that the current model of like risk taking for innovation is like the way where like right now you like reside all your hopes in a business and it fails, you like go bankrupt and die in the streets. This isn't a great model for encouraging innovation. I think a society that exists as it does today, where you apply for a loan from a bank or whatever, maybe with more structured interest rates, but with a strong safety net, meaning that even if you do fail at business, you can still not die. I think that would encourage innovation a lot more because you are not gambling with your life every time you put money towards a venture you are particularly passionate about. Right now, like 75% of businesses fail in the first 10 years. 90% of restaurants fail in the first 3 years. That doesn't seem to me like a very, pro-innovative society. That seems like a society that penalizes risk-taking.
Well, that's why we have the bankruptcy laws. That's why the bankruptcy laws are what they are.
So I mean, they help.
That encourages risk-taking.
I don't know if that's... I'm not sure if that safety net is comfy enough for most people, knowing that they can go bankrupt. But... yeah,
we can come back to it, but we do have a new super chat. Thanks. We have one I just sent you, Nick, and then the one that came in right before it. Posadas John, thanks for your super chat. Appreciate it. They asked, what does Adam think about personal nuclear arms? Coming at you, Adam.
Well, I think as long as you have your nuclear arms permit, like.
Oh shit! Hey, we've got a Posadist on our hands here. Chat.
I guess it's okay.
I want to discuss licensing with you, Adam. You've just taken a hard turn there. I wasn't expecting that.
Sooner or later, we're all going to have personal nuclear power plants in our house, right? I mean, it's coming.
Democratize the nuclear weapons. That's what I'm talking about. We need to socialize the uranium plants.
Arm the unemployed, right, Vosh?
Oh, absolutely. Arm the homeless. That's praxis. I love driving by, throwing Glocks out the window at like tents that are piled up by the street. That's my shit right there.
Oh, and we've got a super chat from YouTube. You have been demonetized in perpetuity. Okay.
Whoops.
I think it was the Glocks or the U.S. deserved 9/11. I'm not sure which of those did it. All right. Conservative Patriot, modern day debates. Question for this is.
Did you already read the Dr. Zayas one?
I didn't. I can do that. I was going in order, and that one came in recently. I can do Dr. Zayas now. I love Dr. Zayas.
I forgot to mention. Sorry, Nicholas, and sorry about the audience, everybody out there. We push super chats to the top of the list, and Dr. Zayas, we appreciate that super chat. So that's why I was pushing it to the top of your list, Nicholas.
There it is. You're right. Well, I'll find a way to blame you. Dr. Zayas, $5. Second super chat after I read the next. Adam, do you think worker-owned businesses would be more successful if they banned women from wearing makeup on the job?
No, no, not at all. Why?
I don't know. I didn't do the super chat. Why are you asking me?
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, let me give it a second read to see if I can. This was from a previous a springboarded off another super
Squad W.
More successful if they
What
banned
if
women.
what if the small business is like a strip club? Then what happens?
Then they'd be in trouble.
Then you know what you're getting. I think this is a Jordan Peterson meme.
Are we still banning makeup then? I don't know if that's going to be good for your small business.
Adam, I know this is an expertise on you have a tremendous amount of expertise on the strip clubs, but if you could please try to keep that out of this debate, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you. So let's see. Question for the guest. Name any popular consumer product innovated by anything other than market-based capitalist entrepreneurial work.
Would that be myself?
Well, I think it's for the panel, but I don't think Adam should answer it. I think it's counter to his, so I think that's you, Bosch. Why don't we
It's a misleading dichotomy. Under capitalism and under socialism, work is done by the workers, not by the owners. And even if in a capitalist system something was produced by a private enterprise, the people who worked under that enterprise would be every as much legitimized under a socialist system as they would under a capitalist one. The idea that like innovation can only happen if 40% of the money made by an enterprise goes to the person who owns it is ludicrous. At the end of the day, we're not talking about capitalism versus socialism in terms of innovation. Those systems just decide who gets the money.
But what if the entrepreneur is someone like Elon Musk who puts most of his capital into new innovation? I agree with you that it's a problem if people are just siphoning money out through rent-seeking behavior and not doing anything to further innovation. But you also have this problem of diverting resources to the people who are the most productive in society. Like, how does your system solve that problem?
Wait, how is Musk the most productive person in society? I guarantee
well, I'm not saying he's the most productive person in society. I'm just saying he is planning on going to Mars. I don't know the government.
Well, no, wait, he's not. His team of engineers are. This is a weird capitalist like propaganda thing. I don't get it, where you attribute everything that workers do to the person who owns the labor of the workers.
Do you deny that Musk is the one that is organizing the spearhead to go to Mars, that he is the one that has put the capital resources towards that?
Yeah, because he had the money. Yeah, but if it weren't for him, the business would still have the money. The workers could democratically decide to invest that money.
Well, let's because I think Adam asked a question that I was sort of dovetails into something I was going to ask.
Yeah, totally. So the Musk. You're basically saying that the workers could, like, a bunch of people could get together and decide they want to go to Mars. Is that the argument that you're making? Like, wait,
do you think there's something magical about being a business owner that gives you like 80 higher IQ than the people who work there? Elon Musk didn't just wake up one day and decide, like, I will now single-handedly divert the resources.
He didn't.
No, he has managers and experts and consultants who he works with. All of those people are doing work, and their work would continue on with or without Elon Musk.
Do you think it was someone else's idea to go to Mars?
I guarantee you Musk wasn't the first person to say that they should go to Mars.
So Musk is doing this for his mother, like an ex-girlfriend?
I don't,
like,
wait.
What is his motivation?
Wait. These are highly misleading questions. Work is done by people who work. Elon Musk has done work, but the most of what he does is own. That's where his wealth comes from. He doesn't get a paycheck that he earns for the work he does in a day. He extracts wealth from the people under him who do that work. And if he ever goes to Mars, it will not be because the brilliant, glorious leader Elon Musk, I don't know why we hero worship these people. He's just a dude. There are people under him who are probably every bit as capable, intelligent, and hardworking. I'd be willing to bet more hardworking because Elon Musk is very wealthy, and we know how wealthy people tend to spend their time. But I guarantee you, these people would be just as willing to invest their wealth into the glorious utopian projects that Elon Musk has so egotistically decided to bequeath upon us.
But
maybe they would divert them towards better projects.
Let's let Adam answer. I do think that may be a bit of a straw man of what Adam is trying to say.
Yeah, big time. But
I can either give my voice to try to lend what I think Adam was saying.
Go ahead.
Because it straw man's into another question, which is, what if somebody does decide that they have a tremendous amount of wealth and they would like to invest it? What if they stay at the head of it? I think Warren Buffett is a good example of somebody who does a very good kind of investment. And I also think that running a company is work. And I do think that he does a tremendous amount of work. Now, if the argument is that he's getting compensated vastly disproportionately to the amount of work that he's doing, I can understand that, but I don't think Adam is trying to say that it's all him. It's absolutely irrefutably not all him. But if he hadn't have been born, this company wouldn't have gotten together and wouldn't have done the things that other things might have been done.
Yeah, it totally could have. Yeah, he would have still made he made the company.
Okay.
Yeah. He could make the company, and he would collectively own it with the people there. And if Musk is every bit as smart in socialist utopia as he is in capitalist utopia, then he will still contribute the exact same level of work to that business. The difference is the business will be controlled democratically. He will be beholden to the interests of the people underneath him. Well, not underneath him. Sorry, the people next to him.
What happens if they don't want to go to Mars, though?
Then that's fine. I'm in favor of democracy. Why should one person get to decide what thousands of people do with their lives just because they happened to luck into wealth?
But
why should a president have to listen to the people?
Elon Musk started the business so he could go to Mars.
Just so we don't go too far into the topic. There's so many questions. I hate cutting off Adam.
Sorry.
Anyone could do that. He can still do work. He can still work. He can be compensated for his work.
Sorry, guys. Just to try to get through. Just to get through as many questions as possible. And then also, I know that Nicholas wanted to have one question for each of the speakers. And so, Nicholas, we'll give you a chance and coming up here to, if you find a good fit for your question for Adam as well, we can do that. But the next one, we just had a super chat come in. Totally appreciate your super chat. One second. So sorry.
Chat.
Ian Conway, we appreciate it. He asks, will the oil collective manipulate government?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. This is a question I get a lot. Yeah, there will absolutely be efforts to. Yes. The invocation of socialism does not eliminate rent-seeking behavior. However, rather than that rent-seeking behavior being pursued by an elite group of extraordinarily powerful people, it would be pursued by democratically owned collectives, which have different interests because they are sparsed amidst the industries they are advocating for. So it wouldn't be 20 executives with $1 billion each coming up saying we have a collective interest known to the government. It would be groups of tens of thousands of people expressing their interest to the government. And at that point, it's not so much rent-seeking behavior as it is a workers' democracy, which I'm in favor of. The more people have more power, the more I support that society. But there would still be rent-seeking behavior. That's just a thing that happens.
All right. Thank you.
So next question, unless there's another super chat, let's see. What countries, question for Vosh, what countries best fit your view of ideal socialist societies?
None. I'm sorry. I know this is like the oldest trick in the book. The real socialism has never been tried. But in reality, if we look at sort of the progression of history, for for about 6,000 years, society has always been owned by a very small group of people on the top. Pharaohs, slave owners, monarchs, lords and noblemen, capitalists, such and such. That's pretty much been the case forever. We're transitioning, at least hypothetically, into a form of society which genuinely breaks that power down amidst the people. It's unheard of. It's completely unprecedented, and I expect many failures in the procession towards this system. As of this moment, there are no societies that I would champion as my own.
Question for Adam. Adam, what have you authored?
I've authored a bunch of screenplays. I'm a screenwriter, so.
All right.
Hey, fuck yeah. I have great respect for the arts. You've dealt with capitalist horseshit as much as I have.
Man, probably more of it, to be honest.
Probably more of it. I saw your Twitter. You're a good artist. Don't you feel that your ability to engage in meaningful creative production would be exemplified if you had complete creative control over like the products of your work rather than being beholden to your client's interests?
Don't answer that. It's an ambush. It's an ambush. We're going to get to the next question.
But I mean, I think it goes to my argument. I really do, because I definitely understand the incentive there. Yeah. If you want the fruits of your own labor, you're incentivized to create. If you don't, then you're not. So.
Well, you still get the fruits of your own labor if you socially own your own business. Just everyone who works there does, rather than one person there.
One of the reasons why I am an artist is because I enjoy the fruits of my own labor. So
you are lucky in that respect, and so am I.
What would
unless it was a question for Adam. I know that you said you had one, if I understood right. If you have one question for Adam yet, I can let you get a little jab in on Adam, but otherwise I was going to jump to the one from James Downard in the Q&A.
No, go for it.
Okay. James, thanks so much for your question. He said, another question for both would be, would a worker-owned oil shale company be more or less anxious to not do oil shale at all?
No.
Beautiful in its eloquence. A oil or shale company would have the same interests as socially owned or privately owned. That industry will continue to operate in its own interests. My goal would be to structure society in such a way that power is not consolidated with a tight few, but rather broadly distributed, so that the interests of the many would outweigh the interests of that one industry. It's easier to do that when they are one company amongst thousands that are all able to democratically represent their own interests in Washington, as opposed to what we have today, where we literally have a political party, the Republican Party, and also the Democrat Party, let's be real, they're both terrible, that are like completely beholden to the interests of these billionaires that have the rent-seeking behavior is extended to the point where these people can literally write bills and put them in front of senators for the senators to sign. This actually happens. That could not happen under a socialist society because there would be no capitalist class. It would just be one of many businesses.
I just remembered, by the way, so we're going to ask the next question, but Steve McRae, I talked to him beforehand. We wanted to plug that he has an epic stream going on tonight as well. It's a fundraiser for a couple of friends. So we are totally like, woot woot, totally supportive. The link is in the description if you want to check it out at the end of the stream. Or, hey, you could have two windows open. You can watch Steve McRae and this. So with that, let's see if I got the right question. Slam RN, thanks for your question. And then let's see. For Vosh, what countries best fit your view of ideal socialist societies?
This is what happens. This is what happens when you have a rent host. That's what he is here. He's not paying attention. That's fine. I'm doing all the work. He's getting the fruit. Who's getting the credit for this stream?
One second. I remember now you said that there is no ideal country. There's no model country. Sorry about that. My attention is split. So thanks for your patience on that.
My main problem, if I could really quickly clarify something, I just want to say, there have been a lot of people who have very sincerely tried to build socialist societies. The problem is, it's like, you know how it works. Socialism works on paper, but in reality, you get thwarted by a CIA coup. It's kind of a true meme. The problem is many socialist societies gravitate towards authoritarianism because it's the only way to defend yourself against counter-revolutionaries. I don't think that makes it good. I don't advocate doing terrible things to your population for survival. It's just, that's one of the reasons why this keeps happening.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And then Nicholas, I'll let you, sorry, I didn't mean to go two in a row if you want to jump back in.
It'll work next time.
No, I did have a question because we've been talking about art. And I can certainly see some examples, and Vosh had mentioned earlier about how art was flourishing especially well in former Soviet Union and other socialist countries. So here's a question. Somebody writes a book or does a piece of art. how long should they still make if what's her name, Harper, who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, that book is still, she wrote one book, that's it, and she's never worked another day in her life, and she eventually came up recently with a second book, but she basically wrote one book, never worked a day in her life, but still gets money. First of all, how is that different in some respects, that's okay, and someone who starts a company or runs a company and then eventually leaves, what's the difference, and how would you, if there isn't, and they should both be treated the same, how would you regulate the artist?
I think that I have no problem with that specific example. She was obviously very, I would want to say fortunate, but she's a phenomenal writer, so I don't know how much fortune skill would be more accurate. But I have no problem with that, because everything that she's receiving payment for, that's her labor. I mean, she did that. She wrote that book. No one else is. You can make an argument that like the book manufacturers, like the people who work at the printing presses, are also did work to create the physical books. But I like at that part, you're dealing with an abstraction of division of labor that I think makes that sort of a weird comparison. She made that labor. It's hers. Whereas for somebody who makes a company and spends the rest of their life fishing, well, there are people working in that company, doing work, and every time they do work, they get paid, and a little cut of that paycheck gets thrown right towards you for fishing really well, I guess. Of course,
don't you need to distinguish between rent-seeking behavior though and innovation? I think that's like an important distinction. You're kind of, this is why we keep coming back to Elon Musk. Like, you're comparing Elon Musk to the Walmart heirs. Well, I'm with you on the Walmart heirs. Like, this is why we have an estate tax.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't hold Elon Musk in high regard at all. I know I believe you're a Yang Fang, so I know I know you're Yang Gang, and so I know that I know that there's a link, there's a bond here. I truly despise Elon Musk. I think he's an authoritarian technocrat, and everything, the worst possible elements of excesses of capitalist society, the adulation of people who do nothing and take credit for other people's work. But I've watched your video where you frown hard on Yang, and you make some good arguments against UBI. You say that it will cause inflation, which is an open question. But if we're going to move, like Marx was very clear that capitalism would produce superabundance, and superabundance would lead to socialism, and socialism was an intermediary stage between communism, where communism would be a stateless society. So if you're against UBI though, like, isn't UBI that intermediate stage? Because that is officially sharing superabundance with every single man, woman, and child. I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
How are you against that?
Because for one, $1,000 a month isn't, I mean, I don't know what definition of superabundance that is, but UBI has nothing to do with socialism. UBI doesn't mean that you socially own labor. It doesn't give any power to the people. Usually UBI in a capitalist society just means that you can expect businesses to pay less.
How does it not? And the framing that Yang uses is the same. He's saying that you are a shareholder in America. That makes you an owner of innovation. How does it not? I mean, it's the same language.
It's well, no, because in a socialist business, you can literally vote and make decisions within that enterprise and assert yourself as a democratic agent there.
You can vote. You can vote within the democratic system of voting for your representatives.
The idea that
I want to give Vosh the last word on this, just because we've gone so long. And
yeah, no, yeah. The idea that $1,000 a month makes you a collective owner of America is really dumb. Like, that doesn't mean you get a say in what happens to publicly owned. That doesn't mean you get a say in what the big swaths of land.
Where does that $1,000 a month come from?
Adam, all right, we said we we're going to give.
Well, just because the money comes from a place, like, does that mean that? Wait, hold on, wait. Does that mean that?
All right, Adam.
Gentlemen, I think we understand your views and very much appreciate them. Thank you. We do have a super chat.
Really quickly, just want to say, like, the elderly and the disabled have been receiving pensions.
We got to give it to him, Bosch. We give it to you. We got to give it to him.
No, he can have it. Bosch can have it.
We didn't give. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Let Bosch answer.
Get to finish. So go ahead, Bosch.
My bad, Jim. Sorry, my bad. Bosch, take it.
I just want to see the wealthy and not the wealthy. Sorry, the disabled and the elderly have been receiving pensions. People who receive Medicare and Medicaid receive pensions. You wouldn't argue that these people own more of America than you do. Ownership for a country can't really take place because democracy as a voting function doesn't really exist in the same way that collective ownership of a business could. Property rights enabled for a business to protect your rights, your holdings, your share of that business work very differently from how property rights would function for your share in a country. You don't own part of a country. You reside within a country and you pay taxes to do so. I think these are incomparable. I don't think that UBI is in any way comparable to socialism, but I would be in favor of UBI within socialism. I'll make that though. I'll throw if Yang comes out with the hot dictatorship of the proletarian takes, then we'll see how I feel about the UBI.
Thank you very much. And Werewolf, thanks for your question for both. Thanks for your super chat. They said, a question for both. Can you talk about the development of vaccines and how the creator was able to do it only because of his own resources, and how many more could do things like that if they did too? So it makes sense. I know that that last closing part, it's a long
I'm guessing here, but I think they're talking about the innovation stuff where a lot of small labs develop vaccines and vaccines aren't really profitable. So that's a problem with the profit motive there. But a lot of drugs are developed by smaller labs in the hope that they will sell those developments to big pharma. So that's small innovators hoping to sell out to big companies.
Wasn't the polio vaccine literally made public? Like the person who made it literally turned it over to the government?
He did, yeah, he did. But there's a lot of controversy about that because he dicked over his team, I think.
I mean, it probably sucks. I mean, if the team wanted to keep it private, then I'll dick them over any day. Like making a polio vaccine public, that seems like it creates quite a bit more good.
But your argument is that the workers should have a say in a business, and now you're advocating for someone in that worker collective to dick everyone else over. I mean,
I'm in favor of dicking other over people in a business if it means saving tens of millions of lives and publicly distributing a vaccine to end one of the greatest plagues on humanity since the beginning of our species. In that circumstance, yes, I think that the property rights of a business are very much outweighed by the public good. But yeah, I'll make that argument whether the business is publicly or privately owned any day.
Gotcha. Well, there's an argument to be made there, that's for sure. The greater good.
I love the greater good. I'm a consequentialist. That's my top meme.
Thank you guys very much for both your answers in the Q&A as well as for your speaking. And thank you, Nicholas, for helping co-mod as we've tried to contain the chaos. It's been energetic. I love your guys' passion. And so we hope that you feel treated well. We appreciate both of you guys coming on. It's been a pleasure. And so with that, I want to say thanks everybody out there for your questions. And again, we've got three things. One, both Adam and Vosh have their links are in the description, so you can check them out if you enjoyed hearing them. And then Nicholas has his link in the description as well. Plus, Steve McRae, that charity or a fundraising stream is going on right now, so we also put that in the description. And so just want to let you know about that if you hadn't heard about it yet. So with that, thanks for stopping by, and keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much, guys. That was a really good time.
Sorry, Vosh, didn't mean to step on you. I think I got confused as to who was talking where there.
Guys, I literally spend like my day-to-day arguing with literal neo-Nazis. This is the kindest. This is like a gentle kiss on the cheek from my mom. Adam, we obviously have like super different political opinions or views or perspectives or whatever.
I don't think they're that different.
Well, we care about democracy, which I think was what matters most. I just wanted to say, as a show of genuine respect, your artwork is truly phenomenal. I looked over it and just got lost looking at it for a little while before the debate. I just have a tremendous respect for artists and other people who do like real work.
Yeah, well, if you want to talk again too in a less public forum, I mean, it's hard when your audience is out there like evaluating everything you're doing. So.
Well, I think Adam wasn't necessarily arguing positions he entirely holds. He was also trying to try to make a good argument for the
No. What are you talking about?
Well, you were going from you kept saying you were arguing from Wealth of Nation or Rise and Fall of Nations. So I thought
that book is amazing, man. You should read it.
Okay, I wasn't
like. What are you talking about?
I got it on. Well, no, I thought you were maybe just because sometimes.
No, not at all. No.
I was lying the entire time. I want the destruction of America. Okay, I don't give a shit about democracy. I just want it all to end.
None of it was your position. All right.
Oh, I'm actually really proud. I coughed very little during this entire discussion. I've had a really, really bad cough for 2 weeks, so that's well. Now that I mention it, of course, but you know.
All right, take care, everyone.
All right, Adam. Good to see you again.
Have a good one, Adam. I appreciate the there he goes.
I wrote a book. Although I was going to say you probably wouldn't like it if that's your. I wrote a book called The Water Thief. Midwest Book Review said it was the required reading for anyone who questions authority in the United States, and a brilliant rebuttal of Ayn Rand. And no, don't hit me with the usual. It ain't hard to rebut Ayn Rand. Thank you very much. I know that was the first thought that crossed your mind, but it's in economics. But I think that's probably why.
Listen, the only thing I know about Ayn Rand is that I played BioShock. Okay, you probably got me one over on that. Wait, throw it my way. Wait, can Jim? You emailed me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, can you throw me the link to that book if it's not too much trouble?
Would be happy to.
Yeah.
And you could, Nicholas Lamar Suter, The Water Thief. It's on Amazon, and I'd love to. But I think that's why I assume that's why Jim brought me. It wasn't for my talent in modding.
It's several reasons. There are all sorts of good reasons. We appreciate you guys. I know that I'm happy that it was. It definitely was like the opposite of boring, and so I appreciated. That was more passionate than I expected, which is good because we don't want it to be. There's nothing worse than when somebody's like debating because they're just
listen. I just fucking hate Elon Musk, okay? I hear the name, I see red, I get real triggered. Hey, listen, one quick thing. Really sorry about the mic, not mic, the cam dropping in and out. Next time I come on, I'm ordering a secondary camera that's not made out of balsa wood, and so next time there'll be like a good, consistent, functioning camera.
Don't worry at all. Totally okay. That's kind of you to say, though. I appreciate it, man. It was just a blast to get to listen to you guys. So thank you.
Your eloquence is mind blowing.
I stream. I have to talk. That's all it is. All right. I should probably end streaming soon, or I'm going to cough a bunch. I love you both very much. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Are we still live? Out of curiosity.
On my end, yes. So don't say the N word.
Oh. Okay. Okay. Good to know. All right.
Only I can do that. All right. I love you. I know I can. I love you both very much. Have a wonderful day, okay? I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you as well.
Trans rights.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.
They didn't say it. All right. Okay. That went about as well as I could have expected to. Oh boy. Thank you, Lexi. I really appreciate it. It's actually the first real discussion I've had on like capitalism versus socialism since I started this channel. There we go. I'm just disconnecting this shit cam. Something I need to discuss more in the future. I think I did okay. This was good practice. This was okay. I think I did fine here. I'm going to need to do better if I ever discuss this with Destiny. If I have this conversation with Destiny, that's like, it's too hyped up, I think it'll have to be better than this, but I think I did okay. Thank you, Nia. I should read theory? Yeah, probably. Ugh. Ooh. You did well, but made some bad arguments you need to point out, and you didn't. But he made some bad arguments. Yeah, I didn't get to everything. That Nicholas guy, the co-host, he was really sharp on me, like not talking too much. I think maybe too much so. But I think I got to most of the points that I wanted to. God. Have I read much Mao? I don't read anything. Me too, Posadist. I do talk a lot. Okay, throw donations my way. I'm answering everyone, and then we're heading off, or I'm gonna... Oh, shit. I can keep from coughing during the debate because I'm excited, I have something to do, but the moment it ends, I start coughing again. Okay. Let's do it. Somniostatic with the $5. I think nerds get aroused over dumb. Isn't my position in this debate just radlib shit? No. Listen, anyone who thinks market socialism is radlib is like so far tanky. Like you're so far gone. I don't even know what to say to you. Market socialism is the most realistic is the most realistic next step for this country and the transitory state that I would want to build before moving into more advanced, like communist or anarchist societies. Where can I find Adam's paintings? Go to my Twitter. I retweeted a thing that has his Twitter on it. You'll find it. I mean, property rights being enforced by the states, except for workers. I mean, that's what market socialism is. Market socialism, public ownership of the means of production. Fuck me. Public ownership means it still needs property rights to protect it. But property rights can be designed in a more ethical way, you know. I'm aware of the fall of rate of profits, and I'm aware of the fact that markets alienate the laborer. Wait, guys, I'm an anarchist. Every time I talk about socialism, this happens. Guys, you, unironically, need to shut the fuck up, okay? I'm sorry. Pardon me for not being a fucking lunatic who believes we can literally just go from capitalism to anarchism or communism, but I recognize the validity of a transitory state, okay? And because moving towards a planned economy seems like an incredibly jarring and ahistorical transition for this country, market socialism seems like a strong improvement that we can build off of in the future. People are like, oh, huh, you want to... This is unironic. Like, I have no... Like, this is like... how fucking stupid is this? Like, this is literally like, I'm gonna fucking die today. This is literally like... if you're fucking trying to run a race, okay? And you're here... You're fucking over here, and you need to get over here, and you're running across, and like 5 minutes into the race, you're over here, and some dumb fuck over here shouts like, "Hey, I thought you were doing a race. I thought you were trying to race. You should be over here. Why are you over here? The race ends over here. Why didn't you just teleport from here to here?" I don't even know what the fuck to say. All right, hold up. I've got donos. Somniostatic with the $5. I think nerds get aroused over dumb shit like this, realize they'll never have it, then they transpose that feeling into outrage and misogyny. Somniostatic, I could not possibly agree more. A lot of it really does come from bitter jealousy. And it is sad. It is genuinely sad. Somniostatic with the unbelievably so fucking generous $25. Thank you. Good luck. I'm going to call it right now. You won the debate because Adam Friended just did pointless semantic shit. I remember. Somniostatic, thank you so much. You are incredibly generous to me, and I really, really, really appreciate it. I would tell you how much I appreciate it more if it weren't for the fact that the more I talk, the more I'm going to cough. Is the distinction between anarcho-communist and market anarchist, Vosh? Because the main distinction between ANCOMs and market Marxist communists is the ANCOMs reject the necessity of a transitory state. Comrade Sophia, I've seen some people say that ANCOMs reject the necessity of a transitory state, and I've seen some people say that ANCOMs don't reject it. They merely think that that state very often degrades into authoritarianism, and that state would need to be a true worker state. I've read conflicting stuff on this, but if my positions aren't consistent with my identity, then I'm willing to read. Wait, why are you guys saying yes? It's both? Oh, well... Okay, listen, new rule. Anyone who unironically just repeatedly says that I need to read theory gets fucking banned. Because you guys are fucking boring as shit. Even with... Hey, guys, no offense or whatever, but for you fucking theory mongers in chat, I could out-argue you any day with I've never read a word in my life. I am illiterate, and I could out-argue you. Because it turns out reading isn't all that matters, friends. Being 6'2" also means a lot. I'm kidding, I love you. Okay, listen, please. Somniostatic, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. I9K, with the $5. Not saying it's wrong, but this sort of thing, ass-popping class, might be a symptom of recent liberation from a heavily sexually repressed society, or is the twerk timeless? I'm 9K. I'm fine with society getting more sexual with time. I don't know. I don't know if it's like a rejection of prior, like, yeah, guys, reading is important, obviously. I don't know if it's a rejection. Thank you, Sophia. Of like prior, like, moralization, or I think you got my body type and destinies mixed. As an asexual, oh please God, no. Well, keep in mind that right now the sexualization of our society is like pathologic. It's like how do you say, sociopathic. The way that sexualization exists in our society right now is entirely through marketing. It's really fucking weird, where you simultaneously like venerate sexuality, but then you shame invocation of it. Like, it's really fucking weird. Okay, I gotta focus on these donos, or it's literally never gonna. Bro9650 with the $2. If America is never becoming an ethno-state, what's the worst the alt-right white nationalists could? I imagine things will continue to get more diverse. They kick and scream. I don't think we're ever going to be a white ethno-state, but things could still be hell for minorities. I don't really know. I don't want to make any bad predictions. Log the dog with the $1. Fuck the state. I just want to grill. Me too. Bro9650 with the $3. You said Africa was never getting unfucked, but then said you could see a sub-Saharan country getting comparable to a European nation within the next 50 years. Could you expand on that a bit? Also, do you see that with the rise of one, several will follow? With the rise of one, several might follow. I don't think I've ever said Africa could never get unfucked, like, seriously. I think I said it as a joke one time. But what I mean to say is that, like, Africa's getting fucked now because it's growing, but it's growing due to investments from China. And we all know how that's going to go down the line. So I think that in African countries can grow, absolutely, but they're going to still be trapped within the colonialist the prison that they have existed in for centuries, because they're being invested in so heavily. They're not going to be an autonomously wealthy nation in the same way that, like, China is capable of being, and America and Western Europe currently is, you know, for the most part. Extreme Dad, hey, Extreme Dad with the $5. Vosh has been made aware of your 4K sub hidden YouTube channel and says he is not interested in talking to you publicly if you're benefiting from it. Yeah, Extreme Dad, you apparently have a YouTube channel where you bait lefties into talking to you, and I'm not interested in talking to your dumb ass if you're just grifting and trying to make money off of it. I'm trying to make money off talking to you. Fuck out of here. Thank you for the $5. Ferg Song with the 666, dropping in momentarily during a study break. Have fun debating. Can't wait to listen to the VOD later. Yeah, guys, do you think this was a decent convo? I feel like I'm trying to move a little bit more into the slightly more legit convos, and maybe, like, I always want to be able to pull in people from chat to argue, but I feel like this was okay, you know? Thank you, Vergsong. Nomad with the $5. Hey, Vosh, love your views on life, and I find myself agreeing with you in a lot of things. Keep it up, my friend. Thank you. I really appreciate that. J.I. Vargas with the $2. Socialism, it leads to authoritarianism is his fear. Yeah, that Adam Friended dude, was like, he seemed like really worried. He seemed like really like concerned that, I don't get it. Like, he seemed to have a problem with the consolidation of power, but then he would complain about power being distributed amongst workers. He said that he didn't like the idea of, like, government having control of shit, but government already has control of that shit, and they work with capitalists to consolidate that power further. It's, like, really weird. Thank you. And Laser Beans with the $10. Thank you. Adam really loves that book, Why Nations Fail. I mean, there are probably legit components to that book. I just don't think they work as good arguments against socialism. I agree. Power should not be consolidated just into the government. You should reward innovation. And I think that at this point in time, property rights are pretty important for fostering growth. I don't disagree with any of that. I just don't think those work as arguments against socialism. Oh, Red Ashitaka, don't you fucking... I just haven't read it yet. I still see it. Don't you fucking... Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, it seems like he was really eager to argue against a centrally planned economy, which I'm not in favor of. You know? When am I gonna check out Ryan Falk? Wasn't that a Nazi? Oh wait, the alt hype. Yeah, Ryan Falk. Yeah, I'm like a week or two away from the thing. We could be doing the alt hype stream right now if I didn't have this fucking cough. Don't worry, I'll be milking that for all the money I can get. JK with the $5. Thank you, comrade. I really do appreciate it. Bro9650 with the $1. Do you genuinely believe we'll all die as a result of climate change within our lifetime? If so, what's the point of anything? Well, we're all gonna die. We're all going to die one way or another. I don't think we're all going to die from climate change. I think climate change is going to get really bad, and there's going to be wars and resource deprivation and a great deal of struggle. And then after it's all done and settled, we'll probably find a way to sort things out. And we'll be not happy, I think, but we'll make it work. The reason we struggle today is because there's a possibility of lessening the harm for people who live in the future. Darth Vaden with the $5. How well capitalism adapt to automation? One proposed solution is for people to invest in the trade professions, but even if the majority of Americans were capable of acquiring those skills, wouldn't that create a labor surplus that would eventually develop? You cut off, Darth Vaden, but yes, investing specifically in the trade skills to adopt automation is a brain-dead idea. Oh, just go learn how to plumb. Comedian WW with the $2 trans rights, correct. Red Ashitaka with the unbelievably generous Tier 4 subscription, the shiniest name. Keep up the good fight, comrade. You've been a transformative force for me. Please use this to buy the new cam. You are true inspiration. I love you, trans rights. Trans rights, motherfucker. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And yes, I need to get another cam. The cam that I use, this one right here, it's fine. It's a $200 camera. It's a 4K webcam. It's fine. You know, Destiny has a $2,400 camera. That's what he uses to stream. And I like competing with Destiny. The only thing I have better on than Destiny is graphics card. I actually have a stronger graphics card than he does. But he has 2 computers, so... Get a $6,000 camera? I could, and then I would be bankrupt. Yes, Destiny's camera is really, really good. Did you try to regulate the humidity in your house? No, I haven't considered that. I'll be going over any donations that I may have possibly missed shortly, comrades. Thank you again, Red Ashitaka. I really do appreciate it. Somniostatic with $5. I think the average person watching that would see you were the voice of reason. The average person knows that our government is bought by private industry. Yeah, that is actually one thing I have in my favor when arguing against like more status quo-y people, against capitalists. It's that if they want to argue in favor of the liberating force of capitalism, they have to downplay the fact that our government is controlled by big business. And everyone knows that it is. Except for the moderates, so. Plasma, because while those oil workers are going to lobby the government, it's only that, oil workers. It's not a capitalist class, meaning that the lobbying is going to be done through the democratic maneuvering of a corporation rather than by a collective of people with different material interests working together. Not to mention, a business owner with billions of dollars can weather climate change differently than a person who collectively owns a socialist oil enterprise. The differentiation of lobbying done by the capitalist class and the proletarian class is tremendous. The difference, at the end of the day, environment influences outcome. So by changing the environment, by ensuring that a different type of people, workers rather than capitalists, are excuse me, are advocating for their own interests, you see different results. I'll give you a really quick example. Like, we can think about this, okay? In the same way that power corrupts, okay? Imagine this, all right? Like, let me think like really quickly, okay? I kind of broke my sister. Oh shit, I'm sorry, Arabian Love. Let me think. Okay, really quickly. Let's imagine this, okay? Imagine you have a kindergarten. No. Let's imagine you have like a preschool, okay? And this is like the preschool that I grew up in, okay? The preschool, you have 4 colored rooms. Yellow room, green room, red room, and blue room. This was like my preschool. So it's a preschool, and we're all trying to vote, okay? What kind of what's a good thing to vote on? We're all trying to vote what kind of food to get. Okay? All right? So, imagine what kind of snacks. What kind of snacks do you get for snack time, okay? So, the rooms all have the same number of people, more or less. Okay. Blue room wants goldfish. Yellow room wants fruit snacks. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay. Let's imagine which scenario is going to lead to the most likely outcome for people to get what they want. Okay. Let's imagine. So in scenario 1, this is my scenario. Okay. This is what I would want. Okay. Everyone has to send a representative. There has to be one person from each room to argue their case to get what they want. Okay. So, and you can have it split between rooms. One room can get goldfish. One room can get fruit snacks. There's a lot of food around. Okay. So in which situation are you more likely to get what you want? Okay. Situation A is people from each of the 4 rooms all talk to one another and they say, we're going to all vote on somebody who wants the thing that we want the most. So let's say yellow room is like most of them want goldfish. Okay, well, let's all take someone who wants goldfish. Yay! And if you go up there and say something other than goldfish, we'll be really mad at you. So go on, go argue for our interests, okay? Same with all 4 of the rooms. Alternatively, okay? Alternatively, in each of the 4 rooms, you don't just have the little groups of kids, there's also a supervisor, a teacher. And in this instance, the kids all want goldfish and what have you. The teachers just want fucking coffee, okay? So when the leader comes around and says, all right, now everyone send your little representative, the teachers are like, hold on, kids, this is my room. Sit here. And the teachers all leave the rooms, and they all get together, and they get to choose what gets made for snacks. In these 2 instances, obviously the kids are probably going to mostly get what they want in the first one, but the kids do not get what they want in the second one. And that's not just because there's a lack of a democratic element as there is in privately owned enterprise. It's also because teachers, as adults, have a different material interest than those children. As proletarians, we workers collectively benefit from the same things, more or less. As non-Uber billionaires, we all want good public education for our kids. Rich people don't give a fuck about public education. They send their people to private academies. We care about roads being upkept. Why would billionaires give a fuck about roads being upkept? They fly by helicopter, and even when they drive, they don't drive the car. They have a chauffeur driving. And even if they are driving, like, who the fuck cares? They can afford any damage done to the car. We workers want good medical care. Why the fuck would they care about good They can buy the best medical care in the world. Their interests are different than ours. So when they advocate for their interests, they're not an owner of an oil industry isn't advocating for the interests of the people who work in the oil industry. They're advocating for the interests of billionaires. When a billionaire from a tech company advocates for their interests, they're not advocating for the interests of the people who work at that tech company. They're advocating for their monetary interests. That's the fundamental difference. You beget different outcomes when the class of the person who is making these arguments changes. It's not not just that the oil company is making these arguments. It's that the representative of the oil company is a billionaire who is completely divorced from the vulnerabilities, the hardships, the struggles of everyday life, who is advocating not for the interests even really of his company, but for the monetary interests of the stockholders that he represents. That's the fundamental difference. Will there still be lobbying and rent-seeking behavior under socialism? Yes, but it will be done not by an elite class of people who have completely different interests to our own, but democratically by workplaces who are advocating for the collective interest of their workers. That's the big difference. Oh, plasma, it doesn't guarantee a classless society. This would just be step one before you make further arguments. Or you could just say we solve the problem of cooperatives influencing lawmakers with campaign finance reform, and campaign finance reform is much more likely to pass if there isn't a group of ultra-billionaires to oppose it being passed. Whoop. Okay, guys. Okay. It's okay. We don't need to do this every time. We don't need to do this every time. At the end of the day, bad things can happen under socialism. However, it seems like the odds of good things happening increase when power is distributed fairly amongst broad groups of people, and the likelihood of bad things happening decreases proportionally. That's why. So keep in mind, by the way, everything we enjoy in society, I like having healthcare, and I like my computers. All of this could exist under a monarchy. You realize that, right? Everything. We could even have kind of like sort of democracy under a monarchy. If you have like a nobility class, but they're beholden to the interests of like a senate that's elected by the... They literally did this in England. Our modern society could be as free as it is today, right now, under a monarchy. But it's much less likely. It's technically possible that it could be as free under a monarchy, but it's much less likely. And the reason for that is because a monarchy is a fundamentally authoritarian structure of governance, meaning that it discourages the likelihood, it decreases the likelihood of certain outcomes. Somebody says I have a scar on my arms. Guys, this is just hair. I'm just hairy. What do you want from me? Okay, can we finish the donation? The wasted lander with the $10. Something why nations fail. He was quite a fan of that book, but I mean, he's done more reading than me. This is what I mean, dude. I start talking about socialism and I can concentrate and I'm focused, so I don't cough at all. But now that I'm not, we gotta focus. Thank you, The Wasted Lander. I really appreciate it. Sad Bad Boy 69 with the $5. You should really read some Ayn Rand. She's completely delusional, but a good look into the conservatard mindset. I've read excerpts from Atlas Shrugged. It was pretty fucking cringy. Watch him ranting about you? Who's ranting about me? Somebody ranting about me right now? Unlimited ambiguity with the $1. I'm nearing my limit here. Computers were subsidized by the government for decades till they became small enough to be profitable and marketable to the public. Elon uses data and engineering methods developed by fucking NASA. Yeah, I know, but technically that's not what I'm advocating for. Technically, I'm advocating for social ownership rather than government ownership. And I wanted to argue like, oh, well, technically the cell phone, but I knew that if I did, he would spend like 18 minutes straw manning me into saying that like government needs to own all businesses or some dumb shit like that. But you're right. Arcane Phoenix with the $1. Sorry if this is spamming, but Indian news. We've reached the children tell Muslim girl they won't play with her because of Muslim stage of fascism. Genocide genuinely makes me helpless. I don't know what to do. BJP wants one country, one language, one religion, one leader. And he'll get none, hopefully. Well, it's one country, I guess. Jesus. I haven't read it, Sophia. That's pretty fucking bad, though. How would commodity production work under a socialist system? Side tone, would they be better if they were in a planned economy or market system? Wait, a socialist system can be planned or market. Both of those things are possible. 100%. I mean, commodity production would work the same way it works today. What do you mean? Just different people own it. Different people get the... True, Sophia. Okay, I gotta focus. I love you, Arcane Phoenix. Remember, America is the only real country. Speaking of, that was a pretty fantastic first debate. You're very good at thinking on your toes. Is it harder to debate pretty regular humans like those dudes, or subhuman Nazi and fascists and other scumfucks? Oh, it's much easier to debate Nazis because I don't have to assume any good faith and I can just absolutely lay into them. That's a lot more fun too. But you know, thank you for the $8, comrade. I really, really appreciate it. Plenty of donations left. Okay. Oh boy. Poyos with the tier 1 sub. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, comrade. Bengus Khan with the $5. PewDiePie in 3 months' time, and then you've given me a short URL that I can't click. I'll type it in manually because I love you, Bengus Khan. It didn't work. Bengus Khan, DM me in Discord. I love you, buddy. Sadish John with the $1. Lol, I saw this on Twitter. What's wrong with the alt-right? I don't know, dude. They're horny nerds. Being cool is for nerds with the $10. Thank you. That's very generous of you. Vosh, amazing job. A good point to make is that being a business owner gives you authoritarian control over the workplace. Also, personal property versus private property, fam. Housing guarantees, too. Well, yeah, of course. Wait, I don't think I conflated personal versus private property at any point. Well, you can have private property that isn't privately owned. Like a co-op, a workers' co-op. Oh, they did. Yeah. A workers' co-op is not privately owned. It's socially owned. But it is still private property in the sense that it's not, it's it's a capital generating enterprise that is not owned by the state and not personally used by people. So it's private property but not privately owned. Okay, yes, I love you. Mythaldu with the $2. Thank you. Good job. Really enjoyed the argument of how art was more bold in the Soviet Union. Yeah, I really need to dig up that paper, or maybe it was even a book that I read. It was really interesting. Set, I cannot upload the whole Democratic debate VOD without getting cucked by YouTube. I mean, maybe I could. We'll see. And now that you have an editor, can we expect more prepared content like scripted content? No, fuck that, okay? I'm a stream boy. Azuki with the $3. You did a really good job with the debate. You just need some counterpoints for how some of his, like, how to X work under socialism, point out how capitalism fails super hard on the points you make. Also, fuck Elon Musk. Yeah, that dude was super, like, pro Elon Musk. Holy shit. Safety Skull with the tier 2 sub. Thank you. That's really kind of you. You think capitalists... Oh, you really think capitalists are just going to give up their power to the proletariat, Morty? You know, you really are a fucking idiot, Morty. Hand me that gas-soaked rag, will you? Oh, jeez. All right. I did the voice for you. I love you. Thank you, Bengus Khan. Posada Sean with the $1. Vosh, you can literally go from capitalism to socialism, but only after thermonuclear warfare, but chat's still wrong because they want to do it without the nukes. It's true. The non-nuke approach is distinctly inferior. Yeah, fucking cringe away at me. No Apologies 20 with the $2. Have you seen The Wire? Best show ever. I actually have not, but I've been meaning to watch it for a literal decade. I have watched BoJack Horseman. Felipe Benfica with the $3. Great debate. I like your take on market socialism, but I'm concerned it'll be hard to fix intellectual property while remaining a market system. Thoughts? Okay. Intellectual property is super fucking complicated, and I want to do more research on it. That will be the subject of a research stream. However, I do think it is possible to have a functioning market economy and have reasonable intellectual property laws. I think that intellectual property laws work within a small limit, a small amount. After all, they do serve a purpose. It's not just so you can. It's not just so the capitalists can get rich while doing like nothing with the property or anything. There are actual reasons why IP exists conceptually. The idea is that nobody would ever want to like invest in anything if like the intellectual property becomes bunk like the nanosecond you put it out to market. How do you donate less than $5? You can't on the website. Keep in mind that if you donate small amounts, I get proportionally less of it because PayPal takes a flat cut. Can I get your opinion on the UCB government in Alberta, Canada? I'm afraid, Tysos, I have no idea what that is or what it's about, but I'm sure if I read about it, I could give you an opinion. Anyway, a lot of lefties, a lot of lefties think that IP law just exists to like be shitty, and for the most part, it does. Let's be real. But there are reasons why it exists, and and IP also does protect smaller people as well, even like private, like personal content creators, like artists or individual, like IP law can be structured to function better. Okay, it can work better. It can do better. Werewolf 435, I'm sorry, I don't see your donation here. Sometimes donations slip through. Yeah, as an artist, I like IP and copyright quite a fucking lot. Hey, as a streamer, I love being able to DMCA people who use my intellectual property in a way that I don't think meets the qualifications of fair use protection. I love that. I think you should add this note to your donation tab so people know how much more to donate. I don't know what this is. Oh, I don't want to do that, Nia. What do you think of industrializing the moon, which has a shit ton of easy peasy resources? Werewolf 4. Okay, wait, pardon me for my ignorance, but I'm pretty sure that any kind of mining effort on an astral body that is not the Earth would be a really bad idea because the cost of moving shit through space is really fucking high, right? Like, even if we were mining literal fucking gold from the moon, I'm pretty sure, like, you know? Also, what's on the moon? Isn't the moon literally just a rock? The moon has tritium, which would be very valuable for fusion reactors. Oh, I guess, like, sure. As long as you don't need much of it, right? Maybe you can just send an astronaut up there to dig away with a pickaxe. Helium-3? Okay, look, I don't fucking know. I'm not a fucking... How the fuck is that my area of expertise? Somniostatic with the $5. Thank you, dude. You're so kind to me. You wrecked it, son. I think a lot of normals will watch this and get converted. I hope so. I'm sorry, I'm physically falling apart from the illness. I love you guys. I really appreciate it, comrade. Thank you. Benjamin van Binnevig with the 10 Canadian. Do you support the Maduro government? I got into a debate with a tanky this morning about his brutal practices. Maduro is... I think Maduro has made a... I think that Maduro made a sincere effort to carry forward the legacy of Chavez to genuinely make the country a better place. I also think that a lot of what went wrong in his country economically was the product of the capitalist businesses in Venezuela sort of revolting against the socialized economic policies that he was putting into place. I think that that what went wrong was not exclusively his fault. However, yeah, Maduro's an authoritarian. He's really not as bad as many of them have been historically. I give critical support to the Maduro government. Venezuela needs to thrive on its own. It needs to exist on its own. I would never support any intervention. I would defend Maduro and Venezuela against intervention from the American government. Not to mention, yes, sanctions from the U.S. government and stuff. So I do stand with Maduro. Vosh say Maduro bad. Maduro bad, Venezuela good, American interventionism worse than any of them. Wait, does my chat unironically believe in the Guaido, the appointment, and American interventionism? Okay, you guys are memeing. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. That's good. Just making sure. Jesus Christ. Don't scare me like that, guys. Just don't scare me. Okay. ICF with the $10. Thank you, ICF. I got your number, ICF. I miss you. Darth Vaden with the $1. Thank you. What I meant to say was, wouldn't everyone going into the trades devalue the wages of those workers since more people would go into them? Yes, which is one of the reasons why it's a bad fucking meme to tell everyone to go into blank industry. It's always a bad meme. It's a terrible meme. Sad Bad Boy with the $5. Thank you. I work in a kindergarten. It's interesting how most of the values we teach are completely opposed to the morals and ethics in capitalism. Yeah, finding a way to economically incentivize cooperative behavior rather than competitive behavior amidst businesses would probably be a pretty fucking good meme. Since when did Vosh change the definition of meme? Meme means whatever you want, okay? Fuck prescriptivism. Araxia with the $2, very good combo. Yelling at Nazis can be fun. Agreed. Ryan B with the $2. Take on androsexual, gynosexual, and scoliosexual. What the fuck is scoliosexual? Sexuality attracted to transgender or non-binary / genderqueer people. Conceptually, I don't have a problem with these terms being used. However, I can understand why in our gendered society this would be a bit of a problem. Guys, I don't actually... Okay, listen. I'm cis. I don't think there's anything like inherently wrong with finding trans or gender non-conforming people more attractive than cisgender or gender conforming people. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. I think that it's usually I think it's the chaser behavior isn't so much liking trans people as it is being weirdly fetishistic, obsessive, and dehumanizing, right? I think that's the bad part, right? Okay, chat's memeing too hard. I don't even know. Just don't cancel me, okay? But yeah, like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with being like attracted to like a woman with a penis or like a dude with a pussy or whatever. Not even wrong with being specifically attracted to those things. That's fine. It's just, you know. Oh, Araxial, type it out for me. Huh. Yeah, it's the weird fetishization. That's the problem. Okay, God. Gus with the $5, my Sunday afternoon. Is it Sunday? It's Saturday, you fucking degenerate. Where on earth do you live? Australia? Does Vosh actually fuck boys? Yes, I fuck boys. What the fuck? What the fuck do you mean I fuck boys? And Ingy Bingy 2K with the $2. Do a video on 3ers. Breadtubers haven't already? 3ers? What's a 3er? Like the number 3 ERS? What's 3ers? The 3%ers? Israel? The 3%ers is an American militia movement whose members pledge protest and armed resistance against attempts to curtail constitutional rights. Oh, so this is like a Second Amendment group thing. Yeah. I've never heard of these people. Looks gay. Alright, I think I did it. Mythaldo with the $2. If you use a credit card on Streamlabs, you can opt into donating the processing fee as well. Oh, I didn't know that. I've never actually donated to a streamer. All right. Wait. This went pretty well. I really genuinely cannot wait. I cannot wait for my cough to be done. All right. Sorry. Thank you all so much for the wonderful stream. I'm going to hack up my lung. Wish me luck recovering. Sorry, Mythaldo. Oh, I did? Oh, okay. Guys, look. I've worked out once. I've got a bicep now. Oh, so beefy. Ugh. 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 Ooh. Ooh. Gin Omega with the $5. Is the real reason Destiny banned you because you didn't donate to him? He is a capitalist. Who knows? All right, get the fuck out of here.